And we're live. Good evening, people. Welcome to the Stunthangar video hangout. I'm Rusty, and I'll be your host until about midnight or later, depending on how interesting the diehards are at the end of the show. And I have everything posted up on the control line forums, the Stunthangar control line forums. You can find the link to come in and visit us live. Uh, let's see, I just heard somebody come in, and you can find the link in the At the Bench thread on the main forum page, where you open stunthanger.com and you see the open forum and the list of all the other forums. If you scroll down the page, you'll find one thread called At the Bench, and there is where you'll find a link to click to come in here and visit us with your camera and microphone. And your other option is to watch us live streamed on YouTube. And with YouTube, you can use the chat box and text us any questions, comments, opinions, or whatever else you got for us. Put it there, and I'll try to incorporate it in our conversations here. And we usually have a pretty good crowd over there. I always appreciate it when you guys take the opportunity to click the block $sign at the bottom of the chat box. It's called the Super Chat, and that's where you send us some hobby money so Sparky can keep the show going, keep the show free, keep his cameras and gear up to date, so he can broadcast live from his shop and from all the events that he attends, and bring us lots of interesting information, and lets us gather here so that we can meet twice a week and talk about aeromodeling, which is what we're going to do now. And one last thing I want to mention before we carry on with the show is that YouTube, Google, Chrome, all of that is cracking down and paying close attention to the child protection laws. It's called COPPA, COPPA, Child Online Privacy Protection Act might be the name of it, but in any case, what I just said describes what it is. And so all we need to do, we're not targeting, small children with our advertisements and everything, but what we need to do is keep our language in check and just be family room friendly. In other words, don't say anything you wouldn't say in your own family room, where your kids, nephews, nieces, and any other youngsters might be. And sometimes we have some youngsters come on the show supervised, always with a parent, and that's fine. But particularly watch things there. We'll have to set up some kind of a online swear jar. I think we'd have dropped a few nickels in it the other night if we had to, but let's start paying close attention to that. It also gets us demonetized. So that doesn't do good either, because that monetization is what pays the bills at Stunthanger. And with that said, let me welcome our YouTubers. We've got Jack Snavely and Gary Sinclair already in the house, and that's on the YouTube side where y'all can type to us. And in the big theater, we've got Tom Remmel sitting here watching me talk. So I'll speak to Tom first. What's going on, buddy?
Hi, Rusty. Had snow here in Minnesota.
Oh, really?
But my driveway is about 300 feet long, and at least I have a bobcat to clean it out with. But that
Wow.
was.
How many people nobody has a bobcat for that purpose around here. I'll tell you what, that's some serious snow moving. So what have you got? Have you got like a bulldozer attachment on the front end of it, where you just push the snow out?
It's just a bucket, but I use it to push snow.
Yeah. Oh, so you just push snow with the bucket and then back up and push it again, or you can scoop it and pile it where you want it, I guess.
I have a place at like I said, the driveway is 300 feet, and then at each end of the driveway, at the beginning and at the end, I have a place to push snow.
Yeah.
And so I push it one direction, and then push it off to the side, and then I go the other direction and push it off to the side.
So you've got driveway purpose built for snow clearing. That's good. How much do you suppose a bobcat sized bucket of snow weighs? It depends on how fluffy
Well,
it is, I guess.
this snow was really heavy because it was really wet
Wet.
snow.
Gosh.
Yeah. And it's not bad with the Bobcat, but doing the sidewalks with the shovel, that was pretty heavy shoveling
Yeah.
the sidewalk.
Now, Bobcat, is it a tracked vehicle or has it got big wheels on it? Tractor
This
wheels.
the one I have has wheels, but they're four wheels. It's four-wheel drive, and then a skid steer they call them. So
Yeah.
two of the tires skid when you're turning.
Mercy, you guys got to be tough to live up there. Looks like
That was
Sparky just dropped in
it
on us.
was 19 degrees this morning when I went to work. So
Yeah, and how's the breeze? Is it windy? 19 and windy
right
or calm?
this weekend we had lots of wind, but it's calmed down now.
Yeah, I can see why y'all stay inside and build so much during the winter.
Exactly.
It's just inhumane outside. I guess whoever came marching through with their pack animals and Conestoga wagons and whatever when they got to Minnesota, they must have and somebody said, "Hey, this looks like a great place to live." It was obviously not December.
Yeah.
And so they pitched camp, and when December came, they pitched camp in July, and when December came around, everybody's going, "What have we done?"
Yeah. Why are we living here?
Yeah, Missouri's just about as cold as Minnesota, isn't it?
No.
Oh, really? Minnesota's colder. Minnesota's uh, um, on. Oh, I should be ashamed of myself. Minnesota's got one of the Great Lakes on its border, or not?
Yep.
Okay.
The land lakes.
Yeah, I knew that. I guess those are glacier lakes with just big old gouges in the earth that the glaciers dug out that are now full of water. Is that why there's so many?
They say the land of 10,000 lakes.
Yeah. Or is that from
Yeah.
glacial scarring? Is that what they are?
I suppose. I don't really know.
Well, dang, Tom, you live there. I figured you'd know all about that.
Can't know everything.
I guess not. Well, that's what we're here for, to make
Yeah.
sure everybody learns something new every day. And I see our YouTube friend Mike is here. Hi there, Rusty. The super chat $sign is showing up as a briefcase tonight, or maybe a lock. I'll have to investigate that. I don't know what's up.
You did an April super chat?
No, I didn't. I didn't do anything I don't always do. Usually it just, but since I've been on Jitsi and I'm using this new black background YouTube control room page, I don't see the super chat in my screen, but everybody else has been able to use it.
No, it's there.
Okay. Mike's not seeing it, but anyway.
Right next to the smiley face.
Yeah, I got a smiley face. Oh, well, let's see. And Mike says, yeah, we're lucky where we live. When the forecasters call for 2 feet of snow, we only get 2 inches. Yeah, he lives down here by me, about an hour north of where I live, or I guess northwest of where I live. So me and Mike are in the same neighborhood. We'll get
They
to meet.
usually clean off. They usually clean off the roads pretty quick in Minnesota. They got plows out and stuff, but we had some icy roads this morning on the way to work. On the way home, it was better though.
Yeah, well, when it gets to the kind of snow that y'all get just on a normal winter day, we've long since been closed up, schools out, because we don't have the equipment nor the experience driving in it to handle a snow cover like that. Let's see what Sparky's got here. Got the Tucker, no doubt.
Yeah, just detail sanding, start finishing Sunday or Saturday.
I gave a friend the nickel tour of my shop yesterday, and now I'm hearing the background chatter. And anyway, we were poking around in my shop, and I was looking at my little half A Hyper Viper balsa model, and I sanded too thin when I was hollowing out the top part of the fuselage where the canopy is, and also the cowl on the nose, and I can see light through a couple of places where I guess the best thing to strengthen that up is just to rub some super fill in those thin places. Is that the best thing to use?
I don't know. I'd have to see the model. I'd probably, if it's just a half A, I'd probably just shoot some super glue on it, hit it with some kicker, and be done with it.
Yeah, I thought about that. I did go through in one place I can use super fill on, but this is it's like a hollow log. It's a hollowed out two balsa blocks. So anyway, I'll probably use super fill.
This airplane right now weighs 31 ounces all up. So I should come out under 40.
In a break, he's not sitting in the cockpit tonight.
No, Tommy Looper's not in there. I don't want to eject him.
Yeah.
I've decided I'm going to build a big one of these too.
What's the difference? Is that a bigger wingspan one, the vintage one?
This is the original classic. I'm going to build one for Pampa, same size as the Junar. That way they'll look the same on the end of the lines, and I won't have to get used to looking at something different. If that makes any sense.
I guess so. Yeah, I hadn't actually ever considered that problem of looking at a different plane, but I fly fly a bunch of different planes on any one excursion usually.
I could have built an Aries, and that looks similar to it, but I got this airplane above me here. Jerry's going to give me a key to the shop that I can paint on the weekend, so I'll go over to John's on Saturday, and it's just closer to go right over the shop to paint, So I'll go on Saturday to John's and Sundays over to here.
Did you have any visitors come in on your show this weekend when you were on live working on the planes?
Lots of them, yeah.
Good. Oh, hey, Stephen, what's going on?
Hello, everyone. Everybody have a nice Thanksgiving?
Oh, yeah. We had a great Thanksgiving. Welcome to Steve McBride, just joined us. So what you up to?
Well, we had an excellent contest in November. The Las Vegas Stunt Challenge really went well. It was a great success. And preparing for it now for next year.
Any of the big boys show up?
Who's that?
Any of the big guys show up? Brett Buck, Pratcher?
No, they didn't. I was trying to get them to come out, but they didn't show up. I tried to get a hold of them with Brett Buck and Dave Fitzgerald and them, but they didn't make it out. Hopefully this year they will.
It's
Word
a
gets
pretty
around
straight
about the
shot.
contest.
Driving from Central California is a pretty straight shot to Las Vegas, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. It's a straight shot in. From where they're at the San Francisco area, from where they're at to getting here, it takes them about maybe 9-10 hours.
That's longer than I expected you were going to say.
California's a long state.
Yeah.
Yep. Where I know where Brett Buck is, where he flies, and Dave flies up there. Some of the other guys are up there. Fancher's over. Takes them about 9 hours until they get out here. I went up there already, so that's how long it took me to get up there from Vegas up to there. But hopefully the word's going to get passed around about how well the contest went this year and the type of flying site it was and how well and nice the hotel rooms were, that it'll bring out a bigger turnout next year.
Are y'all having a summer contest and a winter contest?
No, we basically have just small fun fly meets throughout the year. Then we have the ring-a-thon. Now we run a combat event, and then we have the stunt challenge.
Let me explain to you, Rusty, what's going on with that. If there is no summer event because you can't go outside in the summer.
Oh,
Their
well, yeah.
winter event is summer.
Yep.
I understand.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't go putting a contest on in July out here, July or August. You'll roast. You'll roast like a chicken out here.
I guess you would. Yeah.
Yeah, it's double digits.
Yeah, you can't.
What's up?
Everybody stays inside during the day and comes out at night. So unless you're going to fly at night,
You go out early in the morning. I'm out during the summertime. I go out at 7 o'clock in the morning, about 7 o'clock in the morning. By 9:30, 10 o'clock, done. Because you're baking already. It's in triple digits by that time. So we don't do anything really during the summer. I practice and I fly all year long, but you can only you got to get out early and then do that, or you get out later towards the evening. It's still 5 o'clock. It's still hot out there.
Yeah. Man, you HVAC guys have to get up on the roofs of factories and stuff in the summertime where I don't see how you can survive it some days up there.
Oh, it's tough. And even going in on the roofs is over, but going in attics is worse.
Yeah, I remember you telling us about that one time.
When you got to get into people's attics, it's 130 degrees up there in there. I've been into some attics this year already. And we had quite a few hot days. It was 112, 115 outside. It's a lot hotter in that attic.
Yeah, with no air moving up there either, probably.
It's dead. No, a lot of times what the guys do when they are working up there is they run the AC unit, they tap into the blower vents and try to use one of the blower vents to keep them cool and give them some air while they are up there, and then reattach it back into the duct register again.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of guys do when they are working up there.
Looks like Charles Carter is joining us.
Hey, you guys.
Hey, Charles, how you doing tonight?
Doing well. How are you guys doing?
We good.
Hi, Charles.
Good. Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good, hey Charles.
Hey, Steve. Long time no see.
Yeah. You missed a good one. You missed a real good
bet. I bet. Did you win?
Came in third in Classic on Saturday, and I came in second in Pampa on Sunday.
Who beat you out?
In Classic was Gary beat me in Pampa. Gary Genrich, he beat me in Pampa on Sunday. Lou Wargas and Bob Harness beat me out in Classic. Lou Wargas took first in Classic. Bob Harness took second.
Oh, that's a good. pretty good. So you said
Yeah.
Gary Gingrich beat you in Pampa?
He beat me in Pepper.
What plane did Gary bring?
The his new Hawker Hunter that he's flying.
Huh. Did he build it?
I think it's red and white Hawker Hunter that he has.
Did he build it?
No.
Okay. So I remember he
No.
was flying Bob Whiteley's Hawker Hunter. I heard he crashed that.
The blue one that he had originally, blue or grayish one that he had. Yeah, the gray one that he had, the original Hawker Hunter he had there. Yeah, that one he crashed.
Okay.
Then somebody helped him build this one that he has now. It's a nice airplane.
Let me ask you about Hawker. Was that an English aircraft manufacturer, or were they were they English? Do you know?
It was a Bob Whiteley design.
No, I don't mean the models. I mean the full-scale Hawker aircraft.
Oh, I don't know.
I was just assuming that the Hawker models were scale models of, or similar semi-scale models of warbirds. Is that not true?
They're pretty much, yeah, semi-scale of war models. More of the jet era.
From what I understand, Rusty, Bob Whiteley took a Shark 45 and converted it to the Hawker Hunter. It's basically built off of the
Pretty much the
Shark
same airframe.
45.
Okay, so it's not necessarily a scale or semi-scale
No.
replica of
No,
it.
not like a semi-scale, like a World War II bird or anything. No,
Yeah, okay.
they're
But
not
Hawker
World War
was
II birds.
maybe I'm mistaken, but Hawker is the name of a aircraft manufacturer, a wartime aircraft manufacturer, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's a British. Is my best guess.
It's a British airplane.
Yeah, okay.
Was it the Hawker Typhoon? Is that what it was?
That sounds familiar.
The real airplane?
Or a Hurricane. Is there a Hawker Hurricane?
Hurricane.
Was it a Hurricane?
Hawker Hurricane.
Guys, you definitely got to mark it on your calendar to come out here next year. You have to see this flying site. It is a place to fly. It is an excellent place to hold the contest.
Speaking of calendars, it's that time of the month again where we changed from, let's see, it was Bob Hunt month last month with Bob and his, what is that, Genesis and Caprice. And so this month, hey, it's Rusty month again. There's
all
me
right,
and
Rusty.
Magnum and me and
Rusty.
baby flight streak for the month of December. All right. That damn Magnum's almost as big as I am.
Yeah, I'm making my switch right now as we speak. I'm swapping it out in my case here.
Check your calendars, folks, and thank you, Bob, for hosting November for us. Sorry you can't seem to get in here. Every time we get Bob, there we go. Every time we get Bob Hunt in, something terrible goes wrong with his connection, and he can't hang with us. So,
okay.
Feel bad about that if you're watching, Bob, but sorry.
Here's what's the Hawker Hurricane was built by Hawker Aircraft Limited for the service of the Royal Canadian Air Force, but it was overshadowed by its predecessor, the Supermarine Spitfire, celebrated 1940. So it was a 40s airplane.
Okay.
Wow.
You know, Google's a wonderful thing. All you gotta do is type it in there.
Well, you guys mark it on your calendar because I already spoke with the owners of the property and the property managers and people who also lease the property out there that I have it again for this coming year. I got the property again. I can still use that flying site. and I have it all set up already for the contest for next year that I got the use of it. As long as nobody they don't sell it or they don't build on it, I got the property for use. And our dates for next year are set up November 6th, 7th, and 8th of 2020. The 6th will be a practice date. The 7th and 8th are going to be the event dates. And if I can get somebody to help me out with it,
I think he froze up. Well, guys, I'm off to bed.
Okay,
ya.
Sparky, thanks for dropping
Hey,
in.
Sparky, good to see you.
Good night. Good night, Sparky.
Good night.
Good night, Sparky.
Yeah, looks like Steven lost his bandwidth momentarily there.
Steve is
Yeah.
going like that now.
If you got to get frozen in a picture, that's the way to get frozen, is what a weird expression. It's amazing what we look like if you take any one slice in time of our facial expressions. Well, since we were mentioning the calendar a minute ago, wanted to let you know that Gary Sinclair is all prepped up to do a calendar for 2020. If y'all will send him the pictures, and anybody who needs to know what the rules are, I'll refresh the thread on Stunthanger. But basically, send him a picture of you and a whether it's an ongoing build in progress or whether it's a plane that you just like. Uh, can be you posing with it or you flying it or just the planes, but we'll make a calendar like the one me and Charles just held ours up in just a 12-month calendar. And so we need pictures to fill it out like that. And Tom, you weren't with us last year. You might have been on one of the YouTubers last year, but you weren't a regular video guest at the time. So I don't know if you knew about the calendar or not. We missed a couple of months, but we're getting an earlier start this year. So if we can cram it in before December ends, we can get a full 12-month calendar. And just posing with your planes and write a little something about it, who built it, what it is, and anything you want to say about it in a few words. So email me with your pictures or email Gary Sinclair with your pictures, and both of us are available on stunthanger.com.
I already sent some pictures to Gary of my Nobler.
You say you did, or you're going to?
I did. I did. Good. I sent him a bunch of pictures of my Nobler.
Oh, cool.
A bunch. So he'll be set.
And we got several new guests that join our show now that didn't last year. So I think Lynn, don't know if Lynn was in on the calendar last year. If anybody here can think of somebody that I might not have, that we might have missed, let me know, or let them know, and as many people as we can. If we get too many pictures, it's better than not enough pictures.
Right. Yeah.
We got a new poster on the YouTube chat, Tim Holmes. Does anybody know Tim Holmes? He says he's in Connecticut.
No.
But anyway, welcome, Tim, to the Stunthanger Nut House.
That's us.
That's us.
Oh, no.
Does anybody know of any contests in Colorado? I have a son in Colorado. I wouldn't mind going visiting him, but I'd like to, if I could time it around a contest, I'd like to do that too. So
we've got a couple of Coloradoans. What do you call people from Colorado? Coloridians? No, I don't think that's right. Where's Jack Snavely from? You're Kansas, aren't you, Jack? Not Colorado. Well, yeah, anybody from Colorado, let us know if there's a contest nearby.
Yeah, that'd be great.
what's going on in Colorado that you're going to? Did you say?
Well, my son and his wife, my daughter-in-law, and I have a 5-year-old granddaughter. Wouldn't mind, drive up there and visit. And if I could kind of make it a combination of compete in a contest, I'd like to do that as well.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure how far Colorado is from. He actually lives in uh, Colorado City. I think he's in the Air Force, so he's not too far from the base.
Yeah. Don't forget, you can look in the list of events in the Model Aviation magazine, and Stunthanger's got a contest link too, with lots of different events on it. So worth looking in those places if nobody here speaks up.
Yeah, maybe I'll look in the AMA Model Aviation news, because there they have to get sanctioned anyway, so they usually have a better listing. Because some contests don't get posted or listed on these calendars, but with the Model Aviation news, to get the sanctioned, it's usually in there.
Yeah.
I mean, not to get in there, but to get sanctioned, it's usually posted on there too. So, yeah. So. Yeah. So I'm actually hoping for some more glow guys to show up, because I am mixing some fuel, and I come to an understanding that the Morgan fuel, the Cool Power, and the Omega is a weighted percentage of oil, and I mix my own fuels, and I do it by volume. So I'm trying to figure out what the 17% weighted value, what the equivalent of it is in a volume. And I was listening to Tom Dixon. He thought that I forget what he said, but I'm trying to figure out how to figure that out.
Just crunch some numbers.
Yeah, it should be a cross reference, or so every oil is going to have a different weight from each other probably, but as far as volatiles go, they'll be all should be all about the same weight per volume, so that should be easy enough to look up.
Even oils, I think they're going to be pretty close to each other.
Yeah, they probably are.
Yeah.
I expect there's a big difference between castor and synthetics.
Yeah, and I'm using all synthetic. I saw a listing for castor oil as far as this weighted volume, but of course I don't know what the synthetic is, because there's all different viscosities of a castor, but I think more so of even synthetic.
Do you have a gram scale?
Yeah.
You have a measuring cup?
Yeah.
All you have to do is just measure 10 ounces of oil and 10 ounces of alcohol, right? So now you have a ratio of volume to weight.
That works.
Right? Thank
you. From there on, just big up to do.
Excellent. Thank you. I can do all that.
Yeah, sure. Not a problem. Oh. Look what the cat drag did.
Who is this?
This is, I can't see it now. I think it was Danny. Yep. Hey, Danny.
Well, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I missed the party last Friday, so I thought I better check in today.
Yeah.
You had grandkids and kids taking up your Friday night, didn't you?
That's it. I had kids and grandkids over, and we were playing. My son came in from Wisconsin. He brought in his new video game, and he had everybody. You warned me not to sprain anything.
Yeah, that was what I wrote to you. Don't sprain
anything. Well, I had my doubts there. They brought a game, and it included had a dancing game. You know, it's one of those things. One of those games you hold something in your hand and you move it around, and it tells if you're moving right.
Dance Revolution.
Yeah, some kind of dance game, and
yeah.
Oh man, that's got injury written all over it. So At least for me,
For
it
you,
would.
maybe.
That's it. That's it. I mean, even when I was young and thin, I couldn't dance. So
Okay.
certainly not now. So anyway, yeah. So we had a good old time. Then it also had an old game that we had back in his original Nintendo system, a game called Dr. Mario. I don't know if that means anything to any of
All
you
right,
guys.
that sounds familiar. I
Yeah,
remember that.
long story short, I put it away at 4 a.m. All right. So
Wow.
yeah.
Well, you guys are
I mean,
partying.
I pick up the controller, and the next thing I know, it's 4 a.m. So
Wow, a lot of fun.
yeah, well, that was it. And he says, "Hey, you want me to get you one of those for Christmas?" I says, "No,
No, you want
I don't have
Guitar
enough
Hero.
time for
That's what
that."
you want.
You know?
I got a
Oh,
Guitar Hero T-shirt actually.
Oh yeah, that's fun too. We played that a couple of times way back when, but I don't know. There's a couple of habits I'm glad I never picked up. One is not too much video gaming and not gambling and or anything like that. I'm just too compulsive. I start on that and I just don't stop.
I can't
That's
gamble.
bad. So
I can't gamble worth a damn because I can't bluff. I
uh-huh.
just it's like when I try to lie, I look at the floor when I talk. You know, everybody knows when I'm lying. You know, because I'm looking at the floor or something. You know, so
Yeah, that's it.
we should play poker with you then.
that's right. You did.
Yeah, we clean his clock.
Oh
Yeah,
well.
well, my clock ain't got much
Oh,
guts in it, so
I can just picture it. I'm gonna call it. I'm all in. Don't look here.
That's funny.
That's it. Oh, bad. 10. Yeah.
Hey, the rest of you're safe. I don't even know how
Yeah,
to play poker, so you're don't even worry about it.
that's it.
I used to enjoy playing poker when we were in college and used to get about 10 people sitting around the table and we played for, chump change.
Yeah.
And I'd get to laughing and having fun and I
Mhm.
didn't have too much problem playing like that. But if I had to play any serious poker, there's
Forget
no
it.
freaking way.
No,
Yeah,
that's exactly it.
yeah. Well, uh, on the 30th was my birthday, so
Really,
Oh, happy
happy
birthday.
belated
the
birthday.
whole week was beautiful weather, right? So my wife took my son out to give him a haircut or something like that, and I was kind of by myself in the house, and I said, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna give myself a nice present, right?
Very good.
So I went over there, I grabbed my plane, I grabbed my batteries and everything, the charger and all the good stuff. First time I'm getting the charger with me, by the way. And on the way down there, I just I called Tom Dixon and I said, "Hey Tom, what you doing? I'm heading out to have do some flying." And he didn't answer the phone. I just left him a message, right? But
Right.
apparently he was in coming in a house from somewhere. He heard the phone ringing, and long story short, I went over there and he joined me, and the two of us have a nice little bit of flying. I mean, he was done very quickly. I mean, he put a couple of flights, had some issues with the brand new plane fuel tank that has some dirt inside of it and stuff like that. Just some, typical problems like that. He couldn't fix it on the field or anything like that. So he decided to go, but I stayed in anyway. So by the time he came in, I was already burned like 3 flights already. He stayed for a couple, just went back and forth a couple of flights, and after that, after he left, I was just flight after flight after flight after flight till the sun was down, and then I decided to run the batteries, whatever batteries I had on charger and stuff like that. And the last flight was actually a nighttime flying, really nighttime.
Wow.
I mean,
So
it
many
was,
flights you put in.
That's why you put the lights on, huh? So you can fly after sunset. So
if I had the lights on it, it would just be no problem. It just like boom right there. No, seriously, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed like when I have this kind of sessions, I start to get in more in tune with the plane, get to feel it a little bit better and realize the subtle changes and stuff like that. And also, I think I put some of the best flights I ever did. So, anyways, long story
Oh,
short,
very good.
it was fun. It was fun, and yeah, that thing is a beast. Just like just boom, turn,
That's
go.
it.
I mean, it's and it stays there. It's no stall, no nothing, and
Best of all, no such thing as a bad fuel tank. So
nope.
no
No,
bad fuel runs.
from the first flight to the last one, no issues whatsoever.
Wow.
Mhm.
One day, maybe. Hey,
Hey,
Steve,
Steven,
you're back.
Charles, oh,
you're back.
Yeah.
speaking of Steve contest and Charles, you're painting your plane. I think Steve put some pictures from the contest on the Stunthangar, I think, and
On
there was a
Stunthangar and on Facebook.
yeah, and there was a plane over there. I think it was a Junar, if I'm not wrong, and it had like it's a black, white, and red paint job on it. It's super simple and it's just beautiful.
Really?
And it has like I think it had a Chrysler emblem on a tail, which I'm not too big a fan of that stuff. But other than that, this paint job is just pretty
I'll have to check
nice.
it out.
You talking about the Pennistar?
I don't know what it was.
Might have
Oh,
been
yeah.
that was
160 ship.
who the heck did that? One of the was it Lou Walgast designed
Lou
that?
Lou
Walgas. That was Lou Walgas' airplane. That's his Pennistar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen that plane in person. That's a pretty plane.
It had black, white, and red on it. That's
Yes.
Lou Walgas' Pennistar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty plane.
Yep.
That's a really nice airplane.
Yep.
He's flying that,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah. I don't understand why he did on a fuselage that sweep forward on a paint job. I would have gone backwards, kind of copy the rudder, just follow the rudder flow. I would just have gone backwards and was like I was looking at the panel lines, panel lines that follow the paint job. We just I'm not sure about that.
Mm.
But
that plane is flawless. He's really good when it comes to painting. I mean, he does a lot of
Mhm.
because his background was with a lot of body work and doing auto bodies and doing a lot
Yeah.
of paint jobs like that. So he has a lot of experience working with mixing and thinning out paint.
Yeah. No, it's a very beautiful finish. I mean, the finish is beautiful, right?
Yeah, it is. It
I'm
is.
thinking about just little details on on the choices of the paint lines and stuff like that. It's like I would probably sweep it backwards instead of forward. If it was me, instead of
Mhm.
putting panel lines on or following the paint job, I would put the panel lines to represent a wing. Like something that's more realistic, right? That's all. That has some panel lines on the fuselage as well that kind of didn't make any sense anywhere, but it's a beautiful paint job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
It's
the finish
impressive
is
to see
beautiful.
that plane fly too. The way that plane locks in and tracks is
Mhm.
really impressive.
Mhm. Yeah.
And he says it takes him he doesn't fly for quite a while. It takes him 2 flights and he's locked back into flying that plane again. And it just tracks and locks right into where you want to go. It's a real
Yeah.
nice point and put airplane.
Did you get to fly it?
No, I didn't get to fly it. He offered for me to fly it. I was busy running the contest. He didn't run the contest. I didn't get to fly it. He wanted me to, and I wanted to because that plane just looked like anywhere you wanted to sit it just locked right with you, and it just tracked real smooth. It's sharp on the corners, real slow. We got a lot of time. He's powering that with a double star 76. That's the one with has 2 glow plugs in it.
Mhm.
It's got tons of power and just doesn't think about air. It just
Why do
drives right through.
why 2 glow plugs? What's the sense in that?
I don't know. All I know is that's the way that motor was designed.
Why?
I don't know, but there's been a couple motors like that. I remember I think Mirko did that also.
Mirko did it. Fox used to have. Well, Fox did a lot of weird things with glow plugs. They put them all over the place, but they had some twin plug engines. Yes, the old way back when weren't the old? Was it the Orwick or one of those had a twin plug version too, I think.
Vico made one time. Didn't they? Also, they started out with a twin plug.
Do you use two
But yeah,
igniters for that?
It had a twin plug in it.
Do you use two igniters on that thing, or?
Yeah, you had to use two igniters when
Wow.
you started. But it had power like nobody's business. It just tore right through the air. He was doing 5-4 laps so slow and just cranked right through.
Yeah.
This is really a stretch. But the airplane's called Pentastar, right? Chrysler, Dodge.
Yeah.
The legendary the Chrysler Hemi engines had 2 plugs per cylinder.
Did they really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I know
Yeah,
fire
they did.
trucks
They had
do, but that's just for
the combustion
redundancy.
chamber was, for all the hep and hype and everything like that, it was actually kind of a bathtub shape, kind of long. Wasn't a true hemispherical thing because, they put the valves in and everything like that. It was actually more of a bathtub. It was like a long channel. I guess they put a plug in either end of it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You get more even combustion, I guess.
I
know
guess.
fire trucks use two because, or at least they used to, but that was for just redundancy sake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well, they do that. Yeah, they do that with aircraft engines, so you get redundant ignition and stuff like that. But I don't know.
Yeah. The plane is Pentastar. That's the one.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one. Yeah.
So maybe he did 2 plugs just so it looked like a Hemi. So, something like
He
that.
built that plane for that motor, for that
And
purpose.
that explains
to go through that air. To have
that
that type
explains
of
the Chrysler emblem on it too.
Maybe that's why he called it the Pentastar. Did he work
I
with
wish
Chrysler?
I wish I had time to fly it. I wanted to, but I was too busy with running the event. I couldn't get into doing that.
Did he
And I
work
just
for?
had no time. I have 2 official flights in.
Yeah.
But that plane is really something. I was like, this is going to be a fun plane to fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that plane in a couple of years. So I don't really remember it. I remember it was a good looker, but specifically, I don't remember the plane.
Well, I know I went out to his contest the month before in September. I went to see him out there, and we flew in on Saturday. We flew Classic, and he flew his Patriot, same like the one I have, and he flew his Patriot, and the weather was nice. Sunday, the weather was a little bit more rough, so my Patriot had a little more tough air to work with, but he flew that Pentastar and just trucked right through that, and we were running about 12 to 15 mile an hour winds. And he just trucked right through it, and the plane didn't blink. It didn't twitch. It didn't get bumped around. It didn't move. It just drove right through it.
Charles, isn't that what we had at the Nats this year on the final day?
I didn't have an altimeter. It seemed like it was around that fast, about 12 to 15 miles an hour. It seemed like it.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't have an altimeter to confirm it, but
it was blowing.
Yeah.
It was blowing.
It was blowing Thursday night, the eve. I was surprised people were flying. Thursday night I was so impressed. I thought it was too windy to fly. And to tell you how windy it was, I was talking to Dan Banjock. I thought he'd run the jets, and that's what I went there for. And he goes, "No, it's too windy to fly the jets." I look to my right, and I see on circle 2 and 3 and 4. I see Derek, Orestes Hernandez, I think it was Chris Cox, Joe Gilbert. I mean, they were all out there flying. And I was like, my God. I thought it was too windy to fly Thursday night. I couldn't believe it. And these are all like rule book flight patterns, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gerald Wimmer just chimed in on the 2-plug engine. He said that twin plugs were worth a couple of hundred RPMs on the old baffled cross-flow engines. You had to light both individually. Okay. It seems to me like you could you could crank the plane with one igniter, and then once it's running, just take that igniter off and put it on the other plug, and the other one would light up.
Yeah, that's what you do.
But isn't that I thought the glow plugs are the previous explosion, the detonation keeps the glow plug hot. So if you don't use the igniter on one of them, doesn't get hot by itself anyways from the
Is
detonation.
combustion temperature hot enough to cause incandescence? I don't think so.
Well, to
Okay.
sustain
So
it,
he told me,
it's
I
more of
asked Louis
a
about it.
chemical reaction with the platinum on the element and the alcohol and the fuel.
Yeah,
So I
but
think
you
you're all
got
right.
to
But
see-
I think what you gain if you light the plug is that in the process of starting and priming and stuff, sometimes it'll get a little bit fouled right at the beginning. And if you just light it up, it clears it completely, and it's working exactly the same. That's the way I understood it anyway.
Mhm.
Of course, that's why I run electrics now, so I don't worry about things like that. So.
well, I asked Lou about that with the double plug in there, and he says they told him that you can just use the one glow starter, and it's supposed to light the other one up, but he doesn't trust it that way, so he uses the two glow starters.
That's
yeah,
the way I understand it.
yeah, because I
And he
don't
says
think
really lied.
I don't think combustion temperature is hot enough to actually bring the unlit plug up to incandescence
Okay.
to where the chemical reaction would start to
Mhm.
keep it lit. So
Well,
you'd have to put
certainly it does, because you can start an engine without a battery if you have exactly the right mix of everything.
Yeah,
And
that's
the
right.
incandescence doesn't have anything to do with it. It's
That's
just
right. You're right about that.
it's a combination of really compression ignition is a piece. I mean, not a true diesel, but we get an awful lot just compressed, relatively high compression ratio.
Yeah, that had slipped my mind when I was saying
Yeah.
that. So you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Foxes are famous for
How
that.
many have? How many have? When you just got done with a flight, the engine was still hot, fueled up, then prime the engine, flipped it to start to go without the battery on it, and it started up on it without the battery.
Oh yeah, it happened. It did. Yep. I had
As
no.
happened.
Actually, what I had is something like that. You just start the motor stops and the igniter just falls out, and you flip it again without the igniter immediately after that, and just fires up.
Mhm.
Yep. No, I had my Rojet 67, and I just landed it, got done, fueled it, put it back on the deck, fueled it up, started to prime it, flipped it over, didn't have the battery on or anything, it started right up.
Yeah.
Wow. That has
Gerald
never
says
happened.
the old, Gerald
That would have
says the
shocked
old,
me. I was prepared for that. I was like, oh, okay, it's running.
Gerald says the old super cyclones had a twin spark plug option or an aftermarket on an aftermarket head. Says you got to start yeah.
So that was
I
a
mean,
spark ignition with twin plugs. Wow.
Yeah.
You would have had to duplicate the ignition, like two coils, condensers, and everything to get enough spark for two, wouldn't you? You couldn't like slave it off it, could you?
Depends on the capacity of the coil, I guess.
Yeah, but especially
They're-
back then, they weren't using anything like modern batteries. They're using basically zinc batteries and stuff, and everything like that. Seems to me that if they were going to get a dependable spark to both plugs, they really would have had to have like a duplicate ignition system.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
there's
right.
some
But I know even
there's
less
some
about ignition than I do about glow. So
Well, what it is that all of our motors are basically kind of like a true Hemi head. The spark plug is exactly over the combustion area equal on all radiuses. No matter how, you can make it look a little different, but the burn would be exact. And on the old bathtub type, like somebody was saying, how the one Hemis was really kind of a bathtub type.
Yeah, that was on a Chrysler engine that Dennis was talking about.
If you look at how with one spark plug how the engine turns, it'll put it on the side away from the turn, away from the turn. When it fires, it fills in the same rotation instead of going this way. And then because you get bad deal, my brother was trying to tell me about it because he's a motorhead and builds these, in the day back when we were young.
yeah,
Motors for cars. how the spark
You're
plug
talking-
in the combustion chamber is a big effect on how well it burns the fuel.
You're talking about two spark plugs with one coil. There's some snowmobiles that are designed that way,
Okay.
and they're not two spark plugs in the same cylinder. They're two cylinder, with the one spark plug in each cylinder. But the circuit goes in series. It uses, like the coil attaches to one side of the coil attaches to one spark plug, one side of the coil, the other side of the coil attaches to the other spark plug, and then it fires it has a path in series, sort of.
So it's really
Yeah,
only
a lot of
firing one
engines-
plug at a time, right?
No, both plugs fire one's firing when the piston's at the bottom of the stroke, and one's firing when the piston's
Yeah,
they're
called
both firing.
Okay.
that's called a wasted spark.
Yeah, most cars are like that now. If you see
My-
a coil and you'll have two spark plugs coming out one side of the coil and two out of the other, they both spark at the same time, and it sparks on the dead cylinder and
Yeah.
the compression. And
Okay.
then the same thing on the other side.
It's called a wasted spark, and it's just a cheaper way to make the system, I think.
Yep, you're right.
You can really tell new cars aren't like that with coil over because you'll lose one cylinder.
My 2002 Mazda had a wasted spark 4-cylinder, so it had two coil packs and 4 cylinders. So
Yeah, right. So if you lose it, I lost a coil on a Kia, and you lost half of your coil because it takes out 2 cylinders.
Wow.
It just doesn't drop one; it drops both of them.
Gerald just spoke back to Dennis and said super cyclones with twin plugs would need 2 coils, and some had twin points too, but normally for 2-speed running. Yes, Dennis, super cyclones with twin plugs would need 2 coils. Some had twin points too, but normally for 2-speed running. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. Hey, you guys, I'm going to go in the garage, so I'll turn my camera off, and I'll hear the audio, and I'll be there.
Yeah,
But
I was going to tell you
Okay.
guys on Black Friday, I bought a new camera with filters. It didn't work for you guys.
See you in a few, Chuck.
All right, Charles.
Charles, I'm sorry. I'm
Okay.
so sorry.
And so you got a safe distance away.
Charlie,
Not Charlie, certainly. Okay.
not
All right.
Charlie.
No, that was my bad.
I knew a girl like that could only be called Susan. She couldn't be called Sue or Susie or
Yeah.
it was Susan.
Some people are too worried about stuff like that. So.
You can call me anything you want, as long as you don't call me late for dinner.
Magic for Susan.
You just make that up.
My
I'm
dad,
gonna write that one down, Steve. Thanks for that. Thanks for sharing that.
my dad said that all my life.
Uh-huh. So anyhow.
So I don't know. He's from Florida. I don't know where he heard it, but
Well, I learned something new tonight. I had no idea there were any glow engines with 2 glow plugs.
Well, the Fox 60 and 74, these are like late 60s engines. They're RC engines, great
Yeah.
big block, needle bearing conrods. They're actually not bad engines. They did the 2 plugs, but they're the only one I remember that had the plugs side by side rather than front to back.
Mm-hmm.
One of the plugs was directly over the baffle, and you had to use a short reach plug without a idle bar on that.
I was going
And
to
the
ask
other
that.
plug, you were supposed to use a regular long reach RC idle bar on it. And I guess Fox's intention was to start it burning, start the fuel burning as it was coming over the baffle, and then continue it on the other side. But
Yeah.
most of the engines, like Steve was talking about, with a wedge head, you get kind of a funny fore aft, bathtub arrangement and stuff. So
Mhm.
most of the twin plug engines I've ever seen have got them front and back, rather than side to side. But Fox had them side to side.
Yeah, front and back. That's how his was, front and back.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, front and back.
Well, I guess too, it depends on like how much fuel you run. If you look at dragsters, I don't know if anybody watch NHRA, they got 2 plugs per cylinder. But if you ever see a cylinder go out on one of them cars, it just blows raw fuel out. And they use 6 gallons to get down a quarter mile. So they need a lot of spark to ignite up all that stuff. But I don't know. I guess the bigger, I was told, like a buddy of mine worked on, someone said something about an old fire truck. They had huge pistons. And I guess, as your volume gets bigger, once it lights, it takes a certain amount of time for all that fuel to burn. So if they put 2 of them in it, it then burns twice as, on both sides.
A lot more efficient. Yeah.
So,
Maybe you're right about that. I was thinking it was just for redundancy, but it probably, if they've got bigger displacements, does a fire truck have a larger displacement than most?
They got just massive pistons in it. It doesn't make that much more horsepower. It's just it's a big ass torquey motor. It wasn't. And it hooks to their pump, and that'll pump water. And
yeah, it's probably short stroke, big torque.
Okay.
So. I had a Nissan 200 SX that had the NAP Z engine, and that had 2 spark plugs per cylinder, and it had a distributor. This was back in the 80s. Had a distributor that had 2 coils, had 1 in the center and then 1 offset on the distributor cap.
Oh, okay.
And so it was running 2 spark plugs per cylinder. I can't remember if they were, how they were arranged, the spark plugs, but I had 8 spark plugs and a 4-cylinder engine.
Well, I
remember there was a little gimmick that people used to sell. They'd have something like a Chevy Nova with a 283 in it in the parking lot of somewhere where people were hanging around, and take the little plug-in coil and plug it into the distributor, put the center wire back in, and he could do it while the engine was running without shocking himself. How, I don't know, but he managed to do it, and the engine would speed up about a couple of hundred RPM, and he'd unplug it and plug the direct wire back into it from the one coil, and it would slow down, and he'd do that all night and sell these things to people that came up, watching him change the RPM when he'd plug that little extra coil in. And I actually was suckered into buying one time. Couldn't tell any performance difference at all, but since I had a Chevy 2 with a 283 in it, and that's what he was demonstrating, I had to have one. I think I was probably about 17 years old. So
that's it.
Well, I know there's such a thing as flame impingement when it comes to the fire burning. Like in furnaces, if you get your flame too high off the burners and it hits the heat exchanger, you'll get soot, you'll get carbon monoxide and all that kind of stuff, because the metal is cooler than the flame that's burning, and it actually cools the flame down some. So, maybe that's part of it too, with 2 spark plugs. L4 would even be better, right? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
But I know that Honda made an oval piston motor with 2 spark plugs, but they couldn't keep the rings in it. The rings would fail on that oval piston motor.
Yeah, I think they use those in their racing motorcycles.
Yeah.
The
Really?
the elliptical pistons let them package the motor better. It was shorter from front to back. The
Yeah.
displacement was increased, but normally with round pistons, the motor would get too long to fit in the bike. So they kept the short motor, but the pistons were wider than they were, long front to back.
And they could put what they say like 30% more valve area in it without affecting something about it or whatever.
Yeah, I
Leave it
guess.
to Honda to come up with a solution like that and make it work, even if they, even with trouble. I could imagine, making rings would have been a bear, and then, servicing it and everything like that. My God.
Yeah, I was about to say that when round pistons break in, the rings move a little bit till they find a happy spot, more or less. I mean, you position them with the gap staggered, but don't the rings move a little bit until they settle in? And you couldn't have that with an oval shaped piston.
Yeah, boy, you'd figure those things would center themselves pretty darn fast. I mean, there's only one place for it to go. So
That's right.
Be pretty tough to bore an oval cylinder or hone it.
yeah,
No kidding.
Yeah. Well, that's, their other racing bikes before that was a square four, and I seen some Ferrari or Bugatti or something that did a 12 cylinder that way. It was 2 6s, right? With pistons just all the way down it that way. Because I always figured a 12 cylinder would be a V, but they had a racing square 12.
mm-hmm. Yeah, the cylinder, instead of a V, the cylinders were arranged like that,
Yeah,
and they were parallel to each other. That was a Bugatti, wasn't it?
I think it was a Bugatti. I was watching on something on TV and heard that motor, and it's like, whoa.
What
Yeah.
did the crankshaft look like in that thing?
I have no idea. That's what I always wondered on the Hondas. When Honda was winning all the, back in the day, the 750, and then super bikes and stuff like that, these guys run at the Isle of Man and all that, they had square fours in them. And I'm like, what the hell? They got 2 cranks? How the hell how do they do that? But I think that the Honda actually had 2 cranks and it had a chain on it that transferred all the power or whatever, but nothing beat it for years. So
Yeah.
they go together. But I don't know how they did it on, on
Jack
that.
Snatley just had an interesting question. He says, hey, they got all this alcohol and gasoline nowadays. What if it had a glow plug along with the spark? I don't know. The glow plug would do something because ethanol will work with a glow plug. Not as good as methanol, but ethanol will work with a glow plug.
My brother Dave was working with Pete Bergstrom at Horizon Hobbies just before Pete left there. They had an Evo 61 and a stunt plane running on E85. Straight out of the, said they had to mess around with the compression ratio a little bit. And I think Dave said the biggest problem he had was he had to replace all his fuel tubings and tank tubings and everything like that. But it lit right up and it ran nice, and you definitely saw a future. So yeah, whoever mentioned that, you're right on target. And especially when you consider it in the context of Tom Dixon. Somebody mentioned Tom a bit ago. Last I talked to Tom, he was running no nitro fuel in a lot of his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He still is.
Yep.
And
How
if you
much
run
alcohol does
nitro,
E85
E85
have
isn't that big a stretch, So
How much alcohol does E85 have in it?
15%. 85% gas and 15% ethanol.
Okay.
Well, I know that Inya had that motor that ran on pump gas, but you had to use a special oil with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were using a synthetic. I don't know what it was, but their intention was, Pete's intention was to bring that out as a regular engine, for the glow folks, because It's a real laser beam to attach the cost, or I should say, attack the excess cost of glow fuel and stuff like that.
Looks like Trey's showing us the guts of his airplane. What you got there, Trey?
I just assembled this guy right just now.
Yeah.
Is that the new fuselage?
Yeah. I just put these parts together.
Okay.
Right.
They just drop right in. As smooth as, just like.
Yeah. He's trying to get some useful work done while the rest of us, the rest of us talk. So.
Yeah. We're talking about spark plugs and cars and stuff.
You need to put that in your suitcase and bring it out next year to our contest.
Yeah.
I can do that. Yeah.
Jose Modesto did. He put it in his suitcase, put it on the plane, and brought it out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, you should have time to fly here pretty soon. School will be over for what, a month?
Let's hope we have weather.
Yeah, it's not looking too good up this way. Probably worse by you. We're still above freezing.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had any important snowfall yet. So
we got about a foot here yesterday.
Wow.
So, but it's melting away. I mean, we got all that snow and it was still above freezing. So I don't know how much it would have ended up on the ground if it wouldn't have been melting as it was falling. But there's a couple inches left today.
Mm-hmm.
I got to step away for a minute. I'll be right back.
Alrighty.
Day before Thanksgiving, we had a couple stories that came down, but nothing accumulated. That was really about an hour's worth. Other than that, we don't see any snow out here.
Okay.
So no complaints with that.
I guess we need John Miller to out in Denver. He'll give us a snow report. So wait a minute, Steve, where are you? You're out west. Where are you?
No, Michigan.
Not that's Steve, the other Steve. Steve in.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, Las Vegas.
I'm sorry again. Las Vegas?
I'm in Las Vegas.
You don't worry much about snow out there, do you? So
nope. Don't worry about it at all.
Okay.
They get it every once in a great while.
Yep.
Yeah, that they'll get a little rain every once in a while.
This is actually when we get our better days. We get right now it's a little cooler than normal, but all of a sudden give it another couple of weeks, it'll warm up again. It'll be about 70 degrees out again, and we go flying. We fly all year. The weather doesn't really stop yet too much out here, except for the wind.
We'll probably have snow on the ground until April.
I moved away from that stuff.
Yeah.
Moved away from it.
I hope I'm gonna have.
I like that. That's why I like that IKEA a lot, where we had the contest over there, because there's no buildings around or anything, or no trees to create turbulence.
Yeah, I was in Atlanta. Oh, crap, a long time ago, and I had a business trip, and they had about 1.5 inches of snow one day and stuff like that. I think it stopped the city for about 3 days.
Yeah, it's just called Snowmageddon.
Yeah, it's kind of between the hills and the nobody ready for it and everything like that. It was pretty traumatic, but.
Yeah, they don't know how to drive in the snow.
Yeah, that's it. So.
Yeah.
Oh, if snow accumulates out here, if it does accumulate, we'll shut the town down because they have no idea how to prepare for it or how to deal with it. They have no equipment for it.
That was like my aunt came up with my uncle from Florida. They flew in for Christmas, and she had sandals on. And I looked at that, and I'm like, damn, she's tough, We went up to the car, and she's going, oh. She goes, I didn't know the snow would be this cold.
What a genius.
But she had never seen snow in her life.
Oh boy.
I just got back in time to hear the end of that. Who said that, Steve?
My aunt from Florida. That was like my dad too. My dad had never seen snow till he moved up here. He had
Never
no idea.
ice maker before.
You know, down there they think, oh, it's so pretty. That is so pretty.
Oh my, yeah.
No.
It is kind of for a while till it gets dirty.
You know, till you have to shovel it, and then you're shoveling pretty.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
You got a pretty sore back.
So, Rusty, did you get to spend much time in your shop?
I
Rusty?
just poked around out there, and I gave my friend the nickel tour and sat down and kind of fondled some airplanes that are half built, my Cardinal and my Hyperviper, and had to explain to him what control line was all about. So I didn't actually do anything productive except for sweep the floor. And I also found out that my new compressor makes a good floor cleaner too. You swing the doors open and put the trigger blower thing on it and blow it right out the door.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
There you go. That's Carolina snow, right?
Yeah.
Well, at least you got out there.
Yeah, I did.
At least you got out to the shop.
And I also felt a little inspiration stirring in there. It's been getting back in my head more. You know, I've had my non-dialysis days I've had taken up with physical therapy and all these home health care people, and so I hadn't really had enough free time to think about it. But now all that's behind me, except for I just have to do the homework for PT, and so I can spend time on my own schedule and thinking about stuff and getting out to the shop. So,
well, let's see. This exercise to do this to the airplane. This exercise to do that to the airplane.
yeah,
You got to incorporate that together.
The exercise for not falling down is the one I need to do the most.
Okay.
Wow.
Hey, John.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. What's going on with you?
Well, I'm back up in Salt Lake. My wife started her treatments at the Hunter Cancer Center, so we'll be here now 5 days a week for the next 6 weeks.
Goes well. I hope that goes well.
Thank you. I think it's going to.
Yeah, my buddy that came over yesterday is fighting bone cancer, and thinking about him. They live down at the beach, but they've got a house up here in Columbia, near Columbia on Lake Murray, luckily. So they came up here for the medical adventures, and they'll probably be up here for a good while till they get through all that. So
yeah, well, my wife says thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Tell her prayers in the mail. All right. The prayers are in the mail.
Denny, thank you.
That's it.
I'm glad you're here, Denny.
Yeah. Today, my oldest brother had a knee replacement, and last month my second oldest brother had his third knee replacement. So.
And those knee replacements are tougher than hip replacements.
I heard that third leg knee replacement was really bad.
I understand that's why he could do overhead eights so well.
Well, yeah. The trouble is that's the third time on the same knee. So.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I've had twice on each hip, so I can commiserate a little bit. But hip replacements are easier than knee replacements as far as recovery goes. By far.
They did the replacement today at like around 4 or 5 o'clock or so, and they're supposed to send them home tomorrow. And I just thinking about it is enough to put me in the ER. So, I just can't comprehend, how I hate to use the word routine, but that's the way they seem to be doing it now.
Well, part of that is because they want to get patients out of the hospital before
Yeah.
they contract MRSA.
Wow.
That's a big reason they get people out of the hospital so fast these days.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know they're saying that with my mom's heart surgery that if everything, the way they're going to do it, back to work without having to open her heart up, put her chest. Think so.
Somebody got a TV going in the background.
I'm sorry?
If somebody got a television going on in the background,
Not me this time.
I hear a lot of chatter in the background.
Unfortunately, my wife's walking through the area here talking to her daughter.
Okay. That's all right. I was just making sure we didn't have a feedback loop going.
Yeah. I can turn it up, but
Yeah, so I don't know how long my mom will be in the hospital, but
okay.
they said anything from one to 3 days. So, but I know they try to get you out. But that's why I haven't had my hip or my 2 knees replaced. It's just because of knowing so many people that have had, more than one on each leg. And it's like, yeah, I think I'll stick with what I got for as long as I can.
Yeah.
The biggest piece of advice I've got, and this will conclude the geezer gripe session. The biggest piece of advice I got is if you ever have a bad hip, do not just pin it and plank it together. Go ahead and get the whole new hip put in. First time, boom, it's done. When you screw one together with plates and shims and screws, it's a lot riskier. And when they come apart, then you end up doing what you should have done the first time. So that's the end of Rusty's advice. And if I had done that the first time, things would have been a lot different over the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was real sorry to hear about that football player from Alabama literally busted his hip joint and everything like that.
Did he? Yesterday?
No,
I mean,
it's
Saturday.
2 weeks ago that Tua, whatever his name is.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
And this is a kid who's basically set to be like one of the top 3 in the NFL draft next year and everything like that. Now basically it's over. So
Mercy, yeah.
Well, if you can remember Bo Jackson.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing he went through, and he actually kept playing baseball for a little while after that. He quit football, but he kept playing baseball.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing stuff. I guess we got to consider ourselves lucky as heck that the technology has got to gotten that far and everything like that. But that we can even consider doing that. The alternatives with a stunt, but it's a heck of a way to lose for him to lose his career. So
well, he lost hundreds of millions of dollars getting tackled, trying to get that extra yard.
Well, it's a funny thing, he was sacked and watched the play and stuff. It didn't really look like anything. You've seen it wasn't a hard tackle or a dirty hit or anything like that. It was time,
Yeah.
He had 2 300-pounders on his back.
When
plays with 300-pounders all the time.
When Dale Earnhardt hit the wall at Daytona, it didn't look like much either. And
that's right. That's right. I remember I saw that, and I'd look it looked like the good old boys just playing bumper tag at the end of the race. They always do that. Heck, Earnhardt did that to dozens of people over his career.
Me and Holly and Al were sitting at a little side of the road bar at Garden City Beach watching that. We'd gone down for a day trip, I think, and we ended up watching the race while we were in there and drinking a beer, eating a hot dog, watching the race. And when the race was over, that was just about the last thing we saw. And then we left, and about 60 miles out of Columbia when we were within range of the radio sports station again. We turned it back on and they were talking about the Dale Earnhardt tragedy. And we're like, what? We just saw him driving in the race. We know he was there because we saw him hit the wall, but it had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it looks like that it's just minor, but terrible things happen.
Yeah. My boss at the time, he was freaked out because I transferred into a newer van from my really old van. And we had somebody put a number 8 sticker on or number 3 sticker on the back window. And I'm like, I won't say what I said, but I said, like, screw that. I ain't having that sticker on my van. And I flipped out my knife and took and went and cut the damn thing off the window. We went into work, and when we got back out, they said Dale Earnhardt died. He's like, oh my God, I seen you cut that sticker off the window. And I'm like, if that would really work, I'd put a whole lot of different numbers up there. People's names. But every time I see him, he'll still says that. I remember you taking that sticker off, cutting that sticker off the window.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, well. Hey, speaking of car racing, my son and I went off last week when he was in town. We went off and saw that Ford versus Ferrari, and I was really blown away at how good that movie is. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see it, but I would really recommend it.
Is the one on There's one on Netflix, a documentary on
Not
that.
Netflix. It's still in the theaters. It's been out about 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
And just, Ford versus Ferrari. It's about the Le Mans, racing in the '66 when they,
Yep.
And Carroll Shelby signed up with Ford to try to win the big race, and Ford gave him gave him a checkbook and said, "Bring me a race," and so.
Actually, the
But
documentary
it was
was
a very well done movie, really good acting, good scripting, all of those things, along with the fact that the story is, it's a pretty compelling story. There's things about that I hadn't learned, I hadn't known before, and I guess it's reasonably accurate historically. They said they did do a few things that weren't true, but most of the racers and stuff have checked in on it and said, yeah, they're not too far off. So, but anyhow, even if you're not, you don't even have to be a race fan to enjoy the movie for what it is.
So it's a good story. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just extremely well done. So.
Yeah, Ford had a lot of dealings with Shelby. When Shelby was winning all them races, I mean, there was a reason why he had their 427 side oiler and stuff in that little car,
Mm-hmm.
the Cobra.
All of Ford's engineering and stuff like that into making that. So
Actually, he took the chassis from a British company and the motor from Ford, and Ford made sure that everybody knew that Shelby was winning with their motors.
Yeah.
And actually, Ford gave Shelby only 5 motors. That's it.
Well, he gave him they gave him transmissions. They gave him rear ends.
Yeah, I mean, just
a lot of different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But 4-link and all that kind of stuff that Ford, he got to use their engineering people to help design the car. But
that's it.
When you beat Ferrari and stuff like that, you put a lot of time and money into stuff.
Yeah. On one hand, you can look at it, Ferrari, they were obviously the masters of, their domain and everything like that. But this is really a Goliath beats David's kind of story,
Yeah, it is, because Ferrari
you take a look, money wins races.
Ferrari existed for no other reason but to race.
Yeah.
And Ford was a street car maker.
Yeah. And Ford did it, and they did it in just a couple of years, and Ferrari had been doing it like their total existence, and evolving, getting better, and everything like that. And they just throw an open checkbook at it, and yeah, you can buy a race. you know. But it isn't just as simple as buying the race, as they found out the first year out when none of the cars even finished the race, you know.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
oh,
it's kind of like Honda
you do
now.
have to do special things to make a race car, you know, last 24 hours, you know.
You know, that's kind of like Honda always wanting to win F1
Mhm.
for so many years, and then when that big downturn in 2007 and 8, they sold all their stuff, all their cars, their engines, all their technologies to Red Bull. Next year, Red Bull wins. It didn't say Honda, you know. And that was like really a kick in their teeth to put all that money and time into something and never win it. Finally did when their name wasn't on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the second movie I've seen this year. I saw Midway a couple of weeks ago, and I really liked that one too. So thought they did a good job with that. So
I've
I
got
heard
a
there was too much
YouTube video about
dying
Midway
anyway.
in my watch later list that I haven't gotten around to watching. I might have to watch that before I go see the movie in the theater.
mm-hmm.
It's a documentary that I've got saved in my watch later list. So
Was it the John Ford movie?
no, I don't think it's. I think it. I don't know. I'd be
Okay.
guessing. I told you right now. So
Yeah, the reason I asked is that one of the cool things that they did in this movie is, you know, John Ford was on Midway Island. He was a Navy lieutenant commander or something like that. And he obviously by that time involved in making war films and whatever. And he was there, and he actually took a little bit of shrapnel damage from, you know, there was a bomb dropped nearby, and you know, he wasn't too seriously injured or anything like that. But he was on the. I had never seen that angle of that story before, but he was at ground zero when they're attacking the island. So he's on the catching side, shall we say? So
Yeah, I watched a thing on that here, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago about John Ford, what he did on the island. Then they had the one guy that sank all the aircraft carriers in the dive bombers. He got like 3 kills. I mean, it was a big success, but actually he got all of them or something.
yeah, one guy actually. There's only 2 carrier pilots in history recorded bomb hits on carriers, on 2 carriers, and he's one of them. And he did it that day. He did it on the first carrier sunk and the last one sunk. So
Yeah, then he sunk so many other ships or whatever. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
know,
remember, you know, the old movie they did, Henry Fonda and Charlton Heston, and you know the usual cast of characters. You know, I guess it was done in '76 or something like that. And I always enjoyed that. I thought that was a pretty good movie. But this new one, they did. Obviously, they did a lot of CGI. All the airplanes are they're CGI and everything like that.
yeah.
And but they did a pretty good job with all of that. It wasn't overly CGI'd or anything like that. And so you know that was good. And then the new actors, you know, how do you you know, Henry Fonda made a career out of playing Admiral Nimitz. You know, I don't know how many movies he was in. He was basically Admiral Nimitz. And you know, they got Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson? Well, Woody does a nice job. He played the role well. All right.
He's a good actor. Actually.
Yeah, he really is. But you know, you look at the actors and you know, compare who they were and stuff, and it's like, no way. But yeah, way they did just fine. So
that's kind of like Sean Penn. You know, everybody, he was in that one movie where he played kind of a retarded guy who had a kid or whatever. He did a really good.
Ridgemont High.
Yeah, the guy from Ridgemont High, you'd never think, you know. But in that movie, he was really good.
mm-hmm.
You know, all the stuff he did is crazy, but
Yeah, well, politically, he's shall we say, burnt some of his own bridges and everything like that. But the man can get the job done. You know, when it's time to act, he can get it done. So anyhow,
All right,
Oh,
I'm
well,
heading
now
out.
that
I'll
you
see
know
you
about
later.
all of my social life, so
Take it easy, Steve.
so.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Who'd
You
we
know,
lose?
Woody Harrison's been in
Yeah.
some other movies that I liked him in also, when he actually played a part or something. You know, not just crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But,
You mean like Natural Born Killers, right?
yeah.
Woody was great in that too, but I don't know. That was a
White
strange
Man
movie.
Can't Jump. Didn't he play in that? White Man Can't Jump.
Yeah. Okay. I never saw that.
I've seen bits and pieces of it when it was on TV. He was a basketball hustler.
Yeah, that's not a bad movie, really. He did a pretty good job in that too. But as he's got older, he's done a lot better movies. But a lot of times these people don't get a chance to do better movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not that not that many of them out there.
It was like kind of like Elvis Presley. You know, he was in the same movie over and over and over and over and over. But it said if you watch his first movie, he was a pretty good actor.
Well, yeah, he probably had a chance. He was, related pretty well. Certainly related to people. And it's like he either did 35 movies or he did one movie 35 times. It depends.
Right.
Whatever. So, yeah, well.
And I was reading a thing about Jerry Lewis. No, I'm sorry, Jerry Van Dyke. That's who it was. And he was up for Gilligan and Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
And he turned it down and did My Mother the Car. And he says, it's the best thing I ever did. Otherwise, I'd always been Gilligan for the rest of my life.
I don't know, Jerry. I don't know if that was a good choice or not, but yeah.
But he played in it showed they both ran 2 years. The series, Gilligan Island, only was 2 seasons, and so was My Mother the Car.
Gilligan was only 2 seasons.
Jerry Van Dyke did over his lifetime different movies for Disney and this and that. Yep. Where I can't think of which majigger played Gilligan. He never had anything else. He had Toby Gillis and he had that, and that was it for the rest of his life.
Yeah, but he was crying all the way to the bank too. I mean, he did just fine. I mean, he wasn't the second coming of Olivier or something like that. I mean, he hit his Peter principal limit. He was just fine doing that kind of role. Yeah. I mean, he was fine at it. So I don't know. He got to make all the reunion movies and all that kind of stuff too. So I mean, hey, there's something. So.
I think like Tom Hanks, he's probably had the best career of getting to play different.
Boy, that's about it.
Tom Hanks
different kind of things. I mean, from serious comedies and everything in between, and
yeah, he can do anything as far as I can tell. He's an extremely talented actor.
Absolutely.
I read The Green Mile before I saw the movie, and I didn't have real high hopes for the movie because reading it was extremely interesting, as books usually are, and you think they can't possibly fit this into a movie. But I think it was a pretty good movie that Tom did on The Green Mile.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the movie before. I actually did the book on tape. I used to do a lot of commuting back. I had an hour and a half commute every day for 3 years, and I did a lot of books on tape. I did the book on tape for Green Mile, and I thought that was good. I thought they did a nice job with the movie. I didn't think they certainly caught the gist of it and everything like that. But,
yeah.
So sometimes you read the book, you watch the movie, and then read the book, and then the only thing they have in common is the title.
Yeah, Tom Clancy books were famous for being flops in the movies.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I always thought they were. not good movies, but they were great books. But the movies always fell flat. And I
Yeah, the
think
Jason Bourne movies are like that too. I mean, they're good movies, but the books are like 700 pages.
yeah,
And you can't do 700 pages in 2 hours.
no, you can't.
Some of the story gets lost. So
All that, so much of what happens inside of a character's head in a
Yep.
book,
Yep.
and you just no way to put it into a movie.
Yep. No.
Well, Dennis, I tell you what, you got so many airplanes hanging behind you. One of these days, when we get off topic, if we ever get off topic, I'll have to get you to do a show and tell for us back there.
Oh man, I did a special effort to set up here in my workshop because number one, I'm always jealous. You got Tom's in his workshop all the time, and Charles Carter's in his workshop all the time, and Steve's not in his workshop, but he's got airplanes all over the place.
He's
I'm
got
usually
airplanes,
just sitting in the lazy dentist room or something like that.
Is,
So yes,
is that a workshop in name only?
yeah, if I do any work, it happens in here. All right.
Oh, okay.
That's a workshop.
Yeah. So that's read into that whatever
I'm
you
just
want. But
yanking
yeah,
it.
I see you got. Have you got planes on the ceiling too? What's up there?
Those are like kits and stuff like that.
Oh, I see.
And there's some works in progress up there. See the
Yeah.
wings there.
Yeah.
And I have around here. I don't know if you can even see these. Maybe back here, there's a kind of a closet area where the furnace is. And a few more airplanes back there. So I think I mentioned when I do a conversion with Brodak and stuff like that, I end up getting about half of the airplane built, and then the rest of it ends up in the rafters. All right.
Uh-huh.
So there's let's see, where am I looking at? That's a Walter Emlyn Spitfire, and let's see, the Jack Sheik's Mosquito, and let's see, that's the wing from the Spitfire.
Wing, yeah,
wing.
that.
Yeah, that's it. This is all the stuff in the rafters. There's an Oriental ARF that's going to get converted to electric and whatever else. Oh, and then one just for John here.
I was just going to ask you about that.
Let's see, where are we at? John Miller.
Yeah.
Meet little Ellie.
Yeah.
And if you will, there's, I don't know.
Nice
There's
That
a
is
battery
gorgeous.
compartment.
That is gorgeous.
Ooh. And the motor, all that kind of stuff. So thank you very much, Rusty. I thought, sure, I was just begging for somebody to ask me a question about, gee, is that airplanes in the background? So,
Well, we're an airplane show. I figured it was about time we might talk about airplanes for a while. We did pretty good at first. We got sidetracked talking about dual spark plugs and stuff.
mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had a pretty good conversation going so far, but I don't have anything really cool like Tryon always has. He's got.
What is that camouflage airplane there, Dennis?
Oh, that one there?
Yeah.
That is the second one of my Hawker Typhoons. The first one won the 1969 Nationals in junior, and it flew so good that I built another one for the 1970 season, and that one there was a complete dog. All right.
Okay.
And never really knew why. Sold it. The thing it literally ricocheted around Detroit for a long time. My dad found it and bought it back from somebody. And I actually went so far as I converted it to electric and had some trouble with it. Wasn't able to fly it. But I did find the binding in the control system that had been there since the airplane was built, and almost certainly was the reason that it didn't fly properly. So my goal is to get it back in the air, even for one flight, just to see if that's the case. Now, in the meantime, I've taken off the control surfaces because number one, they needed to be replaced, but number two, I'm going to use this as a test case for that dad stripper product. I'm going to try to strip it down to the bare wood, and I'm going to use this as a practice airframe, if you will.
Oh, okay.
And if that works out well, then I will do the same thing to this, which is the last of my Eclipses that I built back in '83 before I took my extended leave. So,
Did you figure out what was binding or where the binding was occurring?
yeah, it was the stupidest thing, John. It was, back in the days when we used wire push rods and stuff like that, you had to take and put the braces in, so the push rods wouldn't bend. And the braces weren't aligned properly, so the push rod wasn't running straight and true. And so it would bind up. It was like dragging on one side or the other. And as a result, it was like, well, the airplane always hunted in level flight. And the reason it hunts is because the controls aren't loose. Just as simple as that, And I actually took and I reached in with a pair of pliers and I actually bent the end of the push rod at the elevator. I had an adjustable end on the elevator, and it changed the alignment, and it got free. And it was like, you dummy,
Should have done that years ago.
I should have done that in 1970, It's the craziest, stupidest thing. But now I'm actually kind of psycho about the whole thing. Says, yeah, that's got to be it. But I don't trust that push rod anymore. Now that with the bend and everything like that, and at the end, I'm not sure that how secure. I'm not sure I didn't fatigue the wire or something like that. So if I'm going to strip it down, like I said, mostly to try the stripping product, and then big intention is to go deep and work on a control system. I'll probably have to replace it anyway because I don't even know what kind of shape it's in. And mainly replace that push rod with a nice light fiberglass rod with an end, no supports in the middle, and I will have a brand new 50-year-old airplane. So,
Cool.
Denny, did I see the Magistar?
I'm sorry?
I said the 50-year.
Did I see the Magistar hanging back there? Oh.
Yep, way back there, back in the corner. Red, yellow, and black.
That's a beautiful plane.
It was a very, very good-looking airplane, and I'm definitely want to save that. Believe it or not, I had a set of plans for it, and they ended up in my brother's basement and not to be seen again. And so one of the reasons I have it is I'm going to try to document it properly. Had two big things with that. I wanted to document it the way it was built, and then really the original airplane was, of course, basically a powered sailplane, a very long, high aspect ratio wing. So what I'd like to do is build a modernized version that basically replaces the wing. So, and then there's a couple other airplanes there. I don't know, you may or may not have ever remember the name Don Bambrick. He was a guy in the Detroit area, very, very good builder and flyer. This is the airplane he flew at the 68 and 69 Nats. This is the last airplane he built that he never actually finished when he decided, and he got out of it completely. My dad picked it up from him. And neither one of those are properly documented either. So they're not much. Basically, Don's family is gone now and everything like that. The airplanes aren't there. Not much there, but there's enough to draw a set of plans from. And that'll be that. So, yeah, John, I have to admire your capacity for all the plans you've drawn and all the things you've documented for people and stuff like that. I have the darndest time trying to complete to get a set of plans done. So I've certainly grown a tremendous appreciation for all the hard work you've done on all of your good stuff. So.
It's been a fun job, fun labor though.
Yeah. Oh, hang on just a second.
On that, I wanted to mention something on that little twin. I've been thinking about it, and I really, I like what you've done, but I'd really like, instead of having that straight top line, have a little curve to it, kind of balance from the back to the front.
I'm sorry again, John. I was switching over. I missed part of your sentence, sir.
Oh, I just was saying on that little twin, we've extended the nose out for the electric. I'm all fine with that, but where you got it straight there, I'd like to see you put a little curve in it to kind of balance it out front to the back and all of that.
Well, I guess, based on our last conversation, I was going to go all the way back to square one on that and do it John's way. All right.
Oh, okay.
And my only question on that is that I had anticipated using, you ran, two glow engines, right hand, right hand rotation, everything like that. You put down thrust in them, and I get it. If I'm running opposite rotation, do you think I should put down thrust in it?
Well, I think the problem exists either way you rotate it. But I think some people have tried running, left and right hand rotation on some of the twins. It really hasn't made a big difference on the models. It makes a big difference on the big ones, of course, where we're tethered and we're always yawing to the left. I don't think it really is necessary.
Because the other angle on that, of course, is part of my another one of my prejudices, I guess you'd call it, is that I'm all in for left-handed props and stuff. If I was going to put two the same direction, I'd probably make them lefties. And so, but again, according to Igor, and he's right, you do the force arrangement if the thrust line is slightly below the center of the wing, or if you're going to use left-hand rotation, the thrust line should be below the center of the wing. That's the long and short of it.
But parallel with the wing, right? I mean, parallel planes, but not an angled down thrust line as opposed to the wing incidents, right?
Well, some of them, and well, John knows more about this because he's been doing it on a lot of his designs. But normal airplanes, as you fly a right-hand rotation engine, you fly it counterclockwise around the circle, you get a certain precession effect from the prop from it constantly yawing and stuff like that. Plus, you're getting some downwash off the wing onto the tail and stuff like that. And as a result, people are using down thrust in the motor in a traditional stunt plane, just a degree or two, and then something like a degree of positive incidence in the stab, which is actually like down elevator. All right.
Yeah.
Now, I also know Chris Rigotti was he's actually the guy that really put me onto the left-hand props for electric and stuff. And he did what he thought was the logical thing. He built an electric airplane where he reversed the incidence in the stab because he was running a left-hand prop and everything like that. And he ended up cutting off the tail and putting it back in. He ended up putting it in straight because it was definitely not right to have it that way. So maybe it wasn't the precession effect as he thought. Maybe it was something like, I think it's the downwash, from the wing. The stab's here and the wing is here. The flow over the wing causes the flow on the stab to be a little bit like that. And then that doesn't care which way the rotation of the prop is.
Yeah, that's something I always forget about is the direction of the wash. And I always think about the gyroscopic effects, but forget about the wash direction.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things in play, even on a tethered airplane. On the fact that it's tethered, we got things that other normal airplanes don't have to deal with, too. But, there's a lot of different things in play that have to go in there. And that downwash, I think, happens regardless of whether it's control line or radio or anything like that. So,
well, my understanding of it is like if you took a bicycle wheel and you held it by the axle and you spun it, You try to turn it to the right. What does it do? It goes like that.
Mhm.
It's 90 degrees to the angle that you turn it.
Right.
And so you have the props going around, whether they're left hand or right hand. And I'll have to think about this more, but I'm going to get out on a limb and put myself up for ridicule. But it's my understanding that in the forward motion, that the rising prop is getting a bigger bite of the air than the other prop that's going down.
Right.
And so what happens is that you get a precession that is 90 degrees to the rotation. And so you're going to either need down thrust or up thrust. And my suggestion, or my thinking is you're going to need down thrust in that case as well.
I'm not sure I see why the rising blade gets a bigger bite than the falling blade.
No, it's just the weight of the blades. That's what gives you the mass of the blades. It gives you the precision.
There's a gyroscopic, there's a
That I get.
precession effect, and there's a gyro effect. The gyro effect is the weight and everything like that. The so-called precession effect is the difference in lift from a blade from one side to the other. And I think it also has something to do with the fact that I need a visual aid here. Hang on a second. If you take the fuselage, normally the prop is square to the fuselage, but the fuselage, when we're flying even level flight, has a slight positive incidence,
Okay.
a degree or two, which means when that prop comes around, this blade, the blade that's rising, has a degree or two extra pitch, and there's a degree or two less pitch on the blade that's decreasing. That's primarily a yaw kind of effect. The way I think of it, and that's why Rabe used his rudder to try to counteract the yaw effect. But there's also the gyro effect that John talked about. It's why it's good reason to use lightweight props and stuff. As that prop is spinning, you take the gyro and you try forcing it around the circle, and you get that 90-degree path. Anything that you're doing, horizontally shows up in a vertical pitch up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Now, if you're doing a left-hand prop, that 90 degrees becomes a pitch down. All right. So technically, a left-hand rotation airplane should need up thrust to overcome that.
Now, why does the Russian airplane?
If that is true, Dennis, then if you want to go counter-rotating props, they just put them both on zero. They cancel each other out.
Well, it sounds like you would, if you really took the heart, you'd be doing, something like this with the props, right? One up and one down,
No, they cancel each other out. They will cancel each other out because it's opposite.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's sum total is going to be zero regardless what you do with the plane.
Yeah, but because it's on opposite sides, there's probably going to be a rolling aspect in there too.
No, because they cancel each other out always. Whatever one wants to do, the other one says no.
Mm-hmm.
And if this says +1, then the other says no, -1.
And again, it's one more reason why I was asking that question of John is, he set it up, he had everything going the same direction, with the glow engines and everything like that, in 2 degrees, and the logic behind that would be the same way he sets up, his single engine airplanes with, that with down thrust and everything like that. But if we set it up with opposite rotation, where's the game change?
Well,
might be best, like Chin says, go to 0-0 if you're going to go opposites.
Yeah,
I think but if Tryon is right, the answer is go 0-0, because otherwise you're going to be left, if everything's canceled out, then you're still left with a -2 degrees down thrust with nothing to counteract it.
Yeah.
Because you're counteracting it with the other motor, not counteracting it with one gyro.
Yeah.
So
keep everything.
I don't know.
Zero. Yeah, go 0.
Get one more beer in me, and I'll really go off on a tangent here. But that's it. And that, the fact that the thrust lines are low and stuff is a good thing. And John, when I do that, you go back to your original design and everything like that. That's going to restore the nice shape of the nacelle too. because you're
Yeah.
right. I drew those things in there, and they look flat. They look like lawn darts. So that's,
Well, and
How
the
does it
thing
look
is,
like?
going 0-0, the worst thing you might have to do is put a little more droop in your elevator.
yeah.
How does it look like?
I think I'd be tempted to go 0-0 only because if it does have to go one way or the other, I'd rather start from 0 and move 1 or 2 degrees than start at -2 and then have to go +2. You know what I mean?
Good
They have that thing cranked way out. So
Hey, Dennis, show that drawing of that airplane to John's. And a lot of guys, we were off the air.
okay. Right, it'll take me a minute or two to pull it up, so I'll find it and I'll be right back.
Yeah, because that was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. I forget how many guys were still on.
I think there was about 3 or 4 of us by then.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
last Monday night when I had to cut off early, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And your pictures actually got, you know how YouTube assigns a random thumbnail to the movie if you look at the previews on YouTube, and usually it's one of our faces, but that night it's the plans. When you
really?
look in list, and yeah, it's Dennis's plans.
Okay. So
I try to get each one of y'all at one time or another on the preview because I can pick from YouTube. Gives me several choices. If I don't like it's automatic pick, and so if somebody's having a bad hair day, I can pick somebody else.
You can pick.
a bad hair
I
day.
got an
I like
idea.
that.
Hey,
Don't
Rusty,
worry, John. I got you on at least one of them.
I have an idea. You have to go back to Steve's face
Yeah.
Steve Hines, yeah.
when he froze and
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean McBride. Yeah, that was when McBride froze up earlier. A slice in time with Steve McBride.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a shame we seem to lose them there.
now, Dennis, if you do a twin, it means you might have a little bit of extra nose weight to it, right?
Yeah. Okay. First off, I tried sharing it. Is it coming up?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Terrific. So yeah, trying what I was worried about, and I didn't change. And what we were talking about earlier, what I did with this is I was concerned. Well, got to see John's original design. This is his design with LA-15s, was it?
Those were actually LI-15s, or I think those were.
I think he showed Brodax here.
No, yeah, I'm not sure. No, it was a Magnum 15.
Okay.
They had them on sale that month.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now what John did, he had two things. He had the thrust line below the center of the wing. I think it's about a half an inch. And then he also had just a hair of down thrust in it. And this is my note to myself: raise thrust line to match the chord line, and then also and so this is the same. I took his same nacelle, basically raised it up, but then the curve to the top of the wing got a little funny, so I ended up flattening it up right through here, and then of course you get a far less glamorous shape, if you will, out of it. So instead, based on a conversation last week with John, what I'm going to do is go back to his original layout, but I think I'm still going to take the thrust angle out of it for the reasons I just said. Only if I'd be willing to move it 1 or 2 degrees if I have to, but I'd hate to get in a position where I had 2 degrees down and then discovered that I needed, up for some reason, which I can't comprehend off the top. But
Well, they'll fly fine at 0-0. The thing I was trying to do is get rid of all of the problems with hunting, which getting the thrust layout right seems to seems to make them not hunt at all. So,
Mhm.
if a guy's used to running a regular aircraft or regular plane, and he's used to dealing with the hunting problem, they know how to stop it from hunting without going that way.
So, and then the other thing that John did in his design is the inboard engine had zero thrust, horizontal thrust in it, but the outboard nacelle was 2 degrees out thrust. Correct?
Right.
That's what.
That's that's to help out. That's to help out in that situation where the inboard would shut off first. If you're going to go
Right.
electric, you're not going to have that problem.
Gosh, I hope not.
You what?
Yeah, that'll definitely help it. But the other thing that's really good about it is that your nacelles are basically in line with the end of the stab, and you got those nice big fins on it and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So the twin fins should they should be pretty powerful, aligned directly with the props and stuff like that. So
All right, but
Oh,
the big question is, where's the battery gonna go?
two possibilities. One is to put a pack in each nacelle, possibly a 3S pack right in the nacelle. My concern with that is that a pack in both nacelles may get really, really nose heavy.
Hmm.
And the alternative was to try to get a pack out here, just off center on the wing. So there's no fuselage in front of the wing. There's no good place to put it. And then the fuselage above the wing, I just didn't want to go that far off center line for the battery weight.
Hmm.
So it looks like if I put the battery there, it looks like it would fit between the spars. I think I could build a removable leading edge, a little cap on the leading edge, if you will, slide the battery in and cap it back up, and possibly take a quarter ounce of tip weight out of it, because it's off center.
But you
But
have,
and that's the either or right now. The trouble is, and neither one of them is a real graceful solution. Frankly, the one problem with the battery in the wing might be it might end up tail heavy. If I use these little
yeah.
motors like that, these motors are really, really light. They're lighter than the glow engines would be.
Mhm.
And this battery here, this location is going to have basically zero effect on CG, and there really isn't a lot of room to move it forward. So I got to tell you, I'm just hemming and hawing right now. One other possibility, it's a little less graceful, is to take the battery and turn it lengthwise in the wing, basically put it up against the spar, and then that at least gets it ahead of the CG, not by very much, but at least it's ahead.
that would be my number one choice.
Yeah.
And I tell you why, because simply because if you put the barrier the way you have it right now in a picture, it goes through the spar, so there's no shear webbing in there. It's
Exactly.
kind of weak and stuff like that. If you go the other way, at least you can have the shear webbing all the way top to bottom. You have a nice solid rigid spar over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of that either until Trent said that.
Mm. Yeah, I thought I might be able to get away without the shear webbing because the wing is sheeted all the way out, to here. But I'm cutting a big chunk out of that sheeted wing too, and that's not what you
Yeah,
want to do with a shell structure. And no
yeah.
matter what, you're going to be doing that. But having at least the webbed spar would be a good thing.
I mean,
You
if you
know,
have, if you
you
have
might just want to make the nose long enough to put the battery in behind that little motor, and put a battery behind each one of the motors.
Yeah, but that would lose some of the charm of the design. I mean, to me, part of the charm is the fact that it does have that short little nose, like the
Yeah.
little Grumman F5 and stuff like that. Gives it kind of a nasty look because when you see the airplane, all you see is those two motors sticking way out there.
A big pickle for
yeah,
it.
but
Yeah,
put the
yeah,
batteries in the nacelles then. Put one battery in each nacelle for each motor. I do
like
that.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now there's actually, and the other thing, if we did that, I did this just a little section here. There's where he showed the lead outs, and I just swag, the lead out and say a maximum forward position. That's probably farther forward than it would even fly. But if
Mhm.
I might be able to move the battery up to 1.5 inches into the leading edge of the wing.
Mm-hmm.
If I took this battery and I could move it back 1.5 inches, all of a sudden the CG problem gets a little more palatable, you know? So I could
Well,
have the opportunity of going anywhere from, say, well, even a little farther forward than this, and then all the way to where the back of the pack is here.
yeah,
And then
then
if I use the little motors with a high KV, I can use a 3S pack.
mm-hmm.
So,
But you know what? You have a compromise here, right? First of all,
yeah,
look at the fuselage. Most of the weight is on the top of the CG, right?
Right.
So putting the battery a little bit lower, who cares, right? And another thing, you don't have to put the battery horizontal. Who said it has to be horizontal? Go on an angle, and it's easy to load.
well, if you go on
you
an
don't touch the wing.
I was more worried about the getting. I like having the battery weight on, centered on the wing or near centered on the wing. And
Okay.
yes, angled is an option.
Yeah.
But if I go
That's the
too
simplest
far,
one.
then I'm going to start. I'm going to start taking a chance and having too much weight. Uh, uh,
Not really. The
vertical
fuselage has
CG.
most of the weight on the top. The fuselage has most of the weight on the top. Look at that. It's everything is
Yeah,
on the top.
but the fuselage is very light.
Yeah. But still,
The fuselage is basically a 1/16 inch balsa box. It's beautifully done. There's almost nothing in that fuselage. 3/32, not 1/16. So, and there's no structure to speak of in it. It's just basically a box, capped, kind of.
but
Yeah,
you know
that's
what?
the you put the cross sections in the sheet, in the sides and everything like that. So it's almost a kind of a 6-sided thing, slightly rounded corners, right, John?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what I'm thinking right now is if you had the battery on a slight angle, then let's say about 15 degrees or so, something like that, right? You can still center it on the CG, maybe a touch below it to balance everything else, and then you can have a nice scoop on the top of the nacelle, and you slide the battery right in from there, just straight down, right? So now the air is going to go over the scoop, is going to be collected by the scoop, go right through the battery, right? And it flows naturally backwards through the back of the stuff. So, if you take that and rotate like say, try to rotate 15 degrees, see what you get. I mean, go 20. Okay.
All right.
Now the other way.
Suggested coming top down. I was thinking actually bottom up might work too, because I can sneak in. I can put my little scoop there underneath and slide it back in the same way.
Yeah, but the battery can slide underneath the wing a lot easier.
Yeah.
And it's easier to load from the top, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, just like it's user friendly. See, try 20. See what you get.
Do you have any
I
twin
went too far.
That's going to cause a lot of drag.
That's 30 degrees almost. Go much less than that.
Yeah,
but,
I went too far.
Yeah.
Do you have twin electric planes now, Dennis?
I'm sorry again.
Do you have any twin engine electric planes now?
I built a twin Pathfinder, and I have a half A F-82.
That's it.
And
I'll drag it down.
Do they run on a battery per engine, or do they run on a single battery running?
I have a single battery with a big Y harness on it. See, that's the other thing. The other reason I'm not real crazy about and you're making a good point there. I'm not real crazy about a single battery. I mean, it looks good from a lot of standpoints.
There you
But
go.
one problem with it is that
Something like
you
that.
end up carrying a big wiring harness,
Yeah, but you
right?
can
And the
see.
harness weighs quite a bit.
So you
Yeah.
could move that motor back quite a bit now.
No, the ESC can go right underneath the battery,
Hmm.
in between the motor and the battery. So you have leads from the battery directly into the ESC, curving like an S shape.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there wouldn't be a problem. I could basically mount the ESC on this cowl line.
Yep. That's
Um,
easy, and you can have a nice direct cooling to it. So I think I'm gonna rotate the battery a little bit less than
yeah.
that looks good.
Actually, what I need to do is put this back on this layout because this nacelle is taller on top than this one is because the thrust line's lower. So it's a little fuller there and stuff, which means I'd have a little more room above to work with.
Yeah.
And let me say, it's all a work in progress. So
Yeah.
You'll have that done by Friday, won't you, Dennis? And
uh,
now that you're in your workshop,
okay, now
We got to change the name.
no, what I got to say, I got to hold John Miller accountable here. How in the heck do you pronounce that?
Zweipanzerflug.
Zweipanzerflug. But I
Yeah.
think everybody can't pronounce it. I've had too many people complain about the name, so I've got to come up with a better name for it now. The whole concept is it's a fantasy scale ground support a fighter. The Germans had gotten pretty well beat up by the Russians with their ground support fighter, and so they wanted to come up with something that they could use in close air support, but could take care of itself. And so they came up with this, and the idea was Zwei means two, and Panzer is a panther, and flying, and so it's a two flying panthers.
The okay, and then with that name and with that mission in mind, the reason we don't put a long nose on the fuselage is that we're going to have a big old what did they use? I think they had a 70 millimeter cannon on some of their last Stukas. They had some really huge cannons, but let's put that in the middle of the fuselage. Let that stick out there.
Oh yeah.
You could do that. This one I set up with 20 millimeters and 250s, or what are they? 50s? What are they in millimeters?
so basically, if we Americanize it, it's a twin panther.
Yeah.
Yeah, double tank, right? Zwei is twin engine, right?
Yeah.
That's what, two engine, Panzer, Flug is just something that flies, right?
Yeah, it's a twin engine flying panther.
Okay. I don't know if I'd change the name or not. I think what you could do is you could be given lessons in how to pronounce it. That's all.
I think so too. I agree. 100%.
I think the name is perfect. Unless, of course, somebody wants to do one in American colors or something like that, then all bets are off. So
yeah,
that elevator looks awfully ineffective.
Well, actually, that could be an interesting little thing. Hey, you know what? Whatever nationality you do the airplane in, come up with a name that means why Panzerflug. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well,
yeah,
you know that
sympathy for people that can't pronounce words.
Yeah, because what's going to
happen?
You're going to be at a contest, and then they're going to ask you, what motors you got in here? What's the name of the airplane? Then they're going to ask you, how do you spell that?
ZPF.
Yeah.
We could put up phonetics on the plan so that they could learn how to pronounce it.
Exactly.
Dennis, what about the elevator? It looks kind of ineffective, kind of, just looks like a elevator.
Hey,
you took it off of
I'm just working on the nacelle. You got to work on Mr. Miller for that. John, explain your tail shape there.
Well, I've got the two rudders that increases the efficiency of the stab in the elevator.
Okay.
And in actuality, in the flying model, it was very smooth flying, did nice squares, and that I lost it due to a bad solder job on the flap horn. But I had about 6 flights on it at that time. It flew very nicely. Keith Trossel was the one that suggested that shape and size of a low aspect ratio tail and elevator, and it seemed to work real well. I wanted the rudders to be directly behind the nacelles just to help keep it tracking better.
They look slightly inside, but oh well.
Well, that's because the rudders, the rudder right under the right wingtip is not on there. It's got some tabs built in there to
I
tab
saw
it
them.
into
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, I saw them.
Okay,
The
so there it
tabs
is.
in there.
Back there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
And
I'm doing. That one airplane is like a Usama, and electric and stuff, and I want to be able to play with the rudders, I guess you'd call it, on each end, make them bigger, smaller. See what effect that has on the airplane. But that's what I'm working on now. Instead of having so much drag, that'll cut the drag on the back of that.
John, you don't want to thin out the wingtips a little bit?
actually, no. I think the wingtip, if it was anything different than what it is supposed to be, I'd say yes. But for what it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be a tank buster, and I don't know. It didn't appeal to me to thin it out much more. They are a little bit thinner, but
No, the airfoil thickness. I'm thinking.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The airfoil thickness.
Okay.
Let's see. Where have we got the tips? That's 8. Okay, that's 9. There's the tip right there on top of that stack. And if you look, we don't have the root antenna, the root. They're over here, and you can see there's considerable amount of difference in the thickness between it, but not as much as you like, Tran. I know that. That's the root one right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not anywhere.
Can I ask you a question about the flap hinges?
I don't know how well they'll let me have that. Well, let me have my work knife though. I'm just being super lazy. I don't think.
Oh, there we go.
They kind of look the same.
And they tried to bring in.
Yeah, there as you can see, it's hard to measure it right.
Yeah. And then that tabernacle in the front, John had designed this with a wraparound plank leading edge. And I was looking at this actually, with the intent of building a prototype over the possibility to turn it into a kit for Brodak, and didn't think a fully plank leading edge would be viable in a kit. So I was anticipating putting a cap leading edge on it.
So just a small leading edge and some cap strips.
Yeah, it would be planked from here to there. This would be built in under the planking, and then you would cap the leading edge with a piece of 3/16 to finish it off. But I just thought it would be easier to plank, the top and the bottom separately. And then also it'll have provisions for the Brodak wing jig, which is just basically 1/4 inch rod style or 5/16 inch rod style jig. It'll have that in there. So
yeah,
you see where John tried to do the angled formers and stuff like that to try to generate a little extra stiffness in the fuselage box because it is lightly built and everything. And then he showed 9-inch props. I had anticipated flying it with 8-inch props, but and I had also anticipated putting a shorter landing gear on it for less drag and whatever. But that's all, like say, when in doubt, do it his way, and I think it'll work. John, do you remember what yours weighed?
It was in about the 48 ounce, 49 ounce.
Okay.
Wow, that's light for that much wing area.
574 is kind of an oversized, kind of oversized classic airplane and stuff. 48 ounces wouldn't be too bad for that. I would anticipate, frankly, I think an electric version would be slightly lighter. Those 15s are a lot heavier than you'd think they would be. I think the electric motors will be lighter. I would look for opportunities, just put or add as much lightness as possible. I'd hope to build it in the low 40s.
Yeah, 'cause
I was hoping to put retracts or set it up with retracts, have them fold straight back. Then I wouldn't have to worry about the drag from the gear.
Yep. Yeah,
That'd be cool.
retracts would look wonderful on that, and of course that would clean it up a little bit more yet. So
I like the looks of it. I really like the looks of it. It's cool. Everything but the tail. The tail, oh.
Let me ask
well,
you.
I got to tell you, when I first saw it, that was my first reaction too. Is why did you do that? And it's kind of growing on me. John, do you have any pictures of your original that you could show? You posted a couple of pictures, as I recall. And I thought it looked really nice.
Yeah, I do. I have posted under my CAD Classics tab there on Stunthangar. If you go in and look through there, you'll find, I think under full body, you'll find a picture. I have a whole bunch of pictures. I don't know how to put them on here. I don't have them on the computer right now. I had a computer crash, and it threw me in a deep slump. I haven't done anything for close to 3 or 4 years on the computer because of it. But I'm now putting everything back on and getting it back together. So, but if you look there, you'll find it. There are pictures on the
CAD Classics website. Okay. Well,
can I ask you a question about the hinges on the flaps? It looks like that it probably needs another hinge out closer to the tip end. You're going to get some flutter there if you don't hinge it right near the end of the flap, aren't you?
it is. The flap doesn't go all the way to the end of the wing, Rusty.
Oh, I thought it did. I was looking at the dotted line. That's not the flap.
The very last part is fixed and everything like that.
That's fixed. Okay, I understand.
Still, to your point, there is a certain school of thought that wherever the end of the flap is, you put 2 hinges right next to each other.
Yeah.
Like move that one over or something like that.
Oh yeah, but I don't think that's really necessary. Not if the flap's shorter than the rest of the wingspan. I didn't realize what I was looking at there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's. I applaud the creativity and the originality and the design thought. And John, you even took this into you hit it on the head. You called it a fantasy scale, and with a mission in mind and everything like that. And that's why that's drove a lot of the design elements in it. So, but yeah, maybe that'll be one more thing. Is mine's going to have a big old proboscis. Yeah, that's what we'll call it. A great big old cannon sticking out in the middle of the fuselage there. So actually, it might get X-rated too. I don't know, but
instead of putting a cannon in there, if you made that so you could put a camera in it.
Well, yeah, that would be good. Put a camera in it, and that could be the ultimate solution to a tail-heavy problem too. Just make the cannon out of a steel bar or something like that. It'll balance it just fine then. So
put a steel bar here.
Yeah.
An iron pipe, yeah, that'd do it.
Yeah, put a piece of Schedule 40 pipe out there, and then maybe just trim it off or whatever as necessary.
100 millimeter cannon.
Yeah, to get to the balance.
Well, if you made it out of iron instead of whatever, then you could put a magnet on your ceiling and just stick it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love it. John, did you have any trouble balancing the original with the glow engines?
No, it came right out on balance. I didn't have to add any weight forward or rear. It was right on.
Okay, well, you only got a few flights on it, but it should have. If it was nose heavy or tail heavy, you should have got that answer. It should have told you that right away.
Yeah, that by the first lap.
Did you use stock mufflers on that, John?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you're talking about an 8-ounce motor then?
Right.
2 8-ounce motors.
I figured the sweep back from the bell crank back to the wingtip using the formula there on the line 2. It works out about 5/8 of an inch, I believe, behind the CG. So the forward position that I had figured is a little bit behind yours, but I think it was adequate.
Yeah, well, if you think you hit the CG you achieved was pretty much what it is on the plans too.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can trust that CG is a good location. So,
well, if that's the case, Dennis, then you can weigh all your components and kind of figure out how long that.
Well, I think what he's basically telling me is that we forget about the battery in the wing and we go with batteries in the nacelles. If I got to replace an 8-ounce glow engine, yeah,
that'd be safe too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Dennis, what about maybe a more cells on the battery and a shorter one?
Possible. And the time this was made too, the 1800 batteries that were available were a lot longer. I do have some 1800 4-cell batteries that are about 3/4 of an inch shorter than this. They're.
You need 1800 for the little motor?
That was my guess. All right. Okay. And I have.
That's a 4-cell, right?
It's a guess because I've got airplanes about that size. I have airplanes that I fly, single engine airplanes that I fly with that motor with like an 8.6 prop, and I'm using somewhere between 15 and 1800. Now, granted, one of those is a junior flight streak, and I fly it as fast as it'll go, so that uses more battery, and so that's going to be a little give and take. It would be wonderful to get away with even a 1500 or 1200. It'd be a cinch for weight. Then we're back to being tail heavy. But I just try to figure out how to get the battery as far forward as possible.
And you know what?
Get right back to it. So
if you want to move the CG forward, just use bigger motors.
That's the other way out. Yeah.
Yeah, bigger motors are gonna run much cooler, much easier, much more comfortable, and then you can use a much smaller battery behind them. So you shift the CG forward without the weight penalty. Yeah. And now you can also use a small ESC too.
That motor there is a 2810. That was my first going in, and that motor is quite a bit heavier. I can turn 9-inch cross with it, and usually run it with a 4-cell pack. I could put 4 cells in there pretty easily. Probably a 4-cell 1200.
There you go.
Yeah. And that's a very small battery, very short. Almost looks like a little brick. Very short little pack. That would be good. And the motor is heavier, but it's not a huge amount heavier. You know what I mean? It'd be a safe thing.
Yeah.
So
and now
I had been using the 2810s. I got a 2810 in that little L that I'm building. And the other John Miller airplane I showed off a little bit ago. And they work extremely well. I've been looking more at the 2215s as a smaller, lighter very, well, like, he's a little less capable, but capable enough, if you know what I mean. One of the things, frankly, I was worried about is if this was a single engine airplane with that size and everything like that, I'd probably fly it with a 10-6 crop or something like that, 10-inch crop.
Mhm.
And so putting two nines on it might actually be too much crop. I'm thinking the 8-inch crops might be the answer. So, but you never know. You never know until you try it. So.
It flew awful sweet on 9-inch props.
Mm-hmm.
It was very nice on 9-inch props.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd stay away from small motors on small electric motors. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they don't save you any weight.
Yeah.
They because now they want a lot of amperage. Now you need a big ESC, that's weight. Now I want a big battery. Battery works hard to pump all those
Mm-hmm.
amps into the motor. I mean, everything is stressed out. It's just better off just
Mm-hmm.
oversizing the motor by quite a bit. You just really oversize it, and now
Yeah.
everything down the line, it's works so comfortable and easy.
Yeah. And I normally do that on my singles. As I go, I use the motor. I use whatever motor it takes to balance. I normally have motors that are one or two sizes oversized, and all the things you're talking about, they all pay off. You know, nothing gets hot. Nothing. The battery gets smaller. Everything. Everything works. So. So yeah, using a 2810 series or class motor in place of the 2215s would definitely help that. So and then actually even among the 2810s, I've got a lot of the Brodak Aerowind motors. That motor's going out of production. It's gone out of production. I can't even buy anymore, but I still got a few. But heck, go with something like a simple Turnigy or something like that. They've got the slightly smaller frame motor that is in a that would be lighter than a Brodak, a little heavier than than a real little motor, but it'd be again it would deliver the goods as far as being low stress and everything like that.
So
Excuse me just a second. I gotta go away for just a second.
Brodak is not doing the Aerostars anymore. He used to buy those motors, right? Dennis?
I think he said he had to go away for
Yeah.
just a
Oh,
minute.
He took his earplugs out.
Doesn't Brodak have like some kind of power systems already and have some motors over there?
I think they do. I'm a total newcomer to electric. So
Okay, I'm back.
okay. I have to go with what Denny says when it comes to electric because I'm a total beginner on electric.
What motors does Brodak has available or available in the future? Because I'm assuming he might want to use his stuff, right?
Yeah. You got a couple of. You're using a 5-cell or 6-cell system.
I don't know. Just what does he have? I mean, just he's got like some 28s, 28.
Well, we had the Aerowinds in 28 from a 2810 to a 2832 at one time, and they stopped making the 32, and now they stopped making the rest of them. So I'm in the process of trying to replace the entire product line. Uh, got a real nice 2826 so far that has an advantage over the Aerowinds in that it has a big bearing and a bigger bearing, I should say, than the Aerowinds. Not as big as the Cobras, but more in line with like the Axes. And they look really good. They run real quiet and everything like that. And I'm trying to fill out the rest. If that's the basic motor I want. I'm trying to fill out the rest of the sizes from 2810 to 2826. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm thinking 2820, 2815s, maybe even bigger. 2820 would not be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you said you want to run 4S?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are
those are 950 motors. I also had them making the same brand a 3520s. So I took a chance on that one. I made it a 900 kV because we had access to some really nice 4 cell packs, 3600 or 3500 capacity packs, and that combination it's a nice lightweight package for a SB11 class airplane. I think you
Yeah.
can run the motor on 5 cells and not hurt anything. If you're pushing it a little bit, but the packs themselves, I don't know. I'm optimistic that they're going to keep getting better. So maybe it'll
Yeah.
work out in the long run, but I might want to rethink that and get the same motor in a 750 or something like that for the guys who like 5 cells.
Yeah, I think even on the 4S, I think 700 kV is more than enough for what you need.
It depends. If you're running like the Igor props,
No, not those.
they need to spin really fast, and
Mm,
so if you're running, say, an APC 12.6, right,
mm.
the 750 axes with 12.6 props basically set the stage for electric control line.
Yeah, but that's in my opinion, that's not a good use for an electric motor.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that because electric motors are most efficient at 0 RPM. So the lower RPM you run, and the better they are in general. So you cannot go the low pitch, high RPM stuff on an electric because it's off the back. It's kind of inefficient. I go 6 inch pitch at least, 6 to
Yeah.
7, and run them slower.
You and I are on the same page on that. I think that the low pitch setup is a nice way to run a glow engine because glow engines tend to be really, really low torque, and they need to keep spinning fast. And
Yeah.
the electric motors, they're always have torque, and
Yeah.
extra RPM just turns into lost electrons. It's just not efficient.
Exactly. So if you have a twin, then you probably want to go with a high pitch prop and low and go on the low RPM, and you're gonna be just fine. And APC, it's a heavy prop, and again you waste energy. So I just it's. But this is my weapon of choice. My weapon of choice is the Exor props. I mean, at a 9-inch prop or something like that, it probably is going to weigh under 10 grams each. And then the motor running with a super light prop on it, and it's going to be effortless at the point, So it's in a torque band. It's running easy. A big motor is going to use very small power. Probably going to. I mean, I'm using on my plane I'm using 1400 milliamps of light on a 6S. Right.
What size prop do you normally use?
12.6.
12.6. Okay.
Hey, Dennis, ever since you went away and came back, your sound has been getting worse and worse. It's like you've got a microphone position problem. Can you adjust maybe your mic or something? And you're getting harder and harder to understand.
All right, hang on a second. All right. Any improvement now?
No.
No.
I used my hands free.
I couldn't understand anything.
The one around your neck has
something like that, I guess.
using a regular microphone again.
And now you took me out.
Okay. Oh, wow. I lost you. No, I'm losing you guys.
I think we should have started the show with this.
Yeah. All right. Sharing?
Sorry, I got on late. Suggested it late. I can get on earlier next time.
Yeah. My God, it's 12:30 already.
Yeah. Guys, I have to go. I'm sorry. I would love to talk about this. This is fascinating. I love it.
Well, yeah, I mean, anytime you're looking at something a little different than everything like that, it's always a lot of fun. So, did we lose John Miller too? Goodness.
Say what?
I can't understand anything you're saying, Danny.
Oh, there he is.
No,
You can't hear me, huh?
Everybody's still here. I think
I can
Charles.
hear you. It's just dark.
New audio light in front panel. Somehow
You sound better, Dennis.
I've got to go too, guys. We'll see you.
Hey,
Okay, Tom. Thanks for coming,
See you later.
everybody.
Trey, and thank
shovel the snow in the morning.
and Trey, and thank you for your help on this thing.
Yeah, well, no, I'm just throwing ideas out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like that,
it
just
helps.
need to update everything with, to what we were talking about. And
Mhm.
whatever. We can keep this this design committee going here, right? Design by committee, right? So, and send it over to John, who just whatever the heck he wants anyway. But, no. Hey, if you can,
Well,
find some of your pictures too that you can share. I'm gonna look for them on your website there, but if you have any trouble downloading them, it'd be nice if any other pictures you have. I think it's a darn interesting airplane. I'm hoping we can bring this thing to the light of day again. So
I would love to see that. I'll look through and see if I can find some pictures, and maybe you guys talk me on how to bring them in here, because I have no idea how to bring them into this discussion.
okay. And I'll have to, I don't know if I just need to get new batteries or something like that. I'll sort of figure out why my thing's not working right. I probably won't be here Friday. Got another. This time we got the Adamson family Christmas. It's going to be on Saturday, and I'm going to be probably be tied up Friday night, so I may not see you then. So,
All right.
if I don't, we'll catch them whenever we can. So,
Okay. Yeah,
All right,
well,
Merry Christmas later.
And by the way, that Exora prop at 9-inch diameter, it says a 10-inch diameter, it's 11 grams. So 9 inches prop is under 10 grams.
Yep. That's where you want to be.
Yeah, so it's super light.
Yeah.
So yeah. So and
All right,
look real.
See everybody Friday.
All right.
all right. See you later, Steve.
Take care, everybody.
Hey, Dennis,
All
we
right.
got one quick
Bail out
question
too.
for you.
All right. Good night, gang.
Mike on YouTube wants to know if you've got any plans on the tribute. He thinks it's a windy design. Do you have any tribute plans?
Do I?
Yeah. Wow, your voice just came back.
Oh. I don't have anything on the tribute at all. John
Yeah,
Miller, do you have anything on that?
I don't know. I got about close to 300 sets of plans, but they're not here where I'm at. And I don't think there was a tribute in there. No. Now, was it a magazine? Was it in a magazine article?
I don't think so.
Because oftentimes that's where I get my plans. I'll get them out of the magazine article.
This was just a question that YouTube Mike was asking, and so yeah.
Tribute was, I think that was Wendy's last airplane, wasn't it? The yellow airplane.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What
You
did
might
you
be
do,
right.
Dennis? Your mic started working correctly again. For a while there, I couldn't do anything. So anyway, whatever you did worked.
All right. So, all right. On that high note, I guess we'll see you whenever we get in touch again here. All righty.
Okay, and
All right.
appreciate everything, man. It was a great show tonight, and so y'all have a great week, and we'll be back Friday, same bat time, same bat channel.
All right, Rusty. That's a good sign off. See you, everybody. Take care.
All right. Good
We'll
night.
see y'all.
Good night.
All right, all you YouTube guys out there, we appreciate y'all's participation too. And again, we'll see you Friday night. Have a good week. Do something fun so you can come back and tell us about it. And in the meantime, we are signing off in just a few seconds. Let's see. 3